Chapter 319. Kill. At that moment, Gu Chunsha started to attack the Tao Realm Transformation 20 Demon. He knew that he couldn't continue like this. He had to break the situation and find a chance. He was now at the 14th transformation, and compared to the 20th transformation, the difference was just too huge. When he was at the 6th transformation, he could kill the 14th transformation Lightning Beast King. At that time, he had the Dragon Gate and even the Heaven's Sacrifice Talisman. He could hide within and launch sneak attacks. He was invincible. But now, he had no treasures at all. Based on his current combat strength, he could fight on the same level as the 19th transformation, but he only had a 10% chance against the 20th transformation. He might even lose, and it would be tough for him to even escape. This was why he had to attack, first to seize the chance. When Gu Chensha attacked, a streak of starlight flew out. The starlight was a talisman that was as small as sand. They turned into ancient beasts that roared and chased the Tao Realm Transformation 20 Demon. Star Sand 10,000 Lightning Transformation. When the demon saw Gu Chensha's attack, it was actually a little afraid. The star sand that Gu Chensha shot out was actually a small bolt of lightning. Once it was hit, it would explode and scatter the essence energy. With Gu Chensha's current cultivation, even 1 grain of star sand would be able to blast iron armor into dust. The power of a large patch of star sand could even flatten a mountain. Although Tao Realm Transformation 20 experts had reached the Gather and Scatter realm and normal attacks couldn't do anything to them, they still had to worry about it. If it was a fierce lightning technique, 1 strike would scatter their essence energy, and they would be injured. The demon wasn't willing to be injured at all. It wanted to be at its peak condition to capture and refine Gu Chensha. Only then would it be able to obtain the most benefits and not let others take advantage of it. So, the demon's body suddenly disappeared, causing Gu Chensha's starlight to miss. Gu Chensha sensed a huge sense of danger heading towards him. He didn't even think, and his body flashed to the side. The demon appeared at the spot where he was gathered and punched the air. If he was hit by that power, Gu Chensha would definitely be smashed to pieces. Great formation. After dodging this demon's sure-kill attack, Gu Chensha knew that if he didn't trap this demon, he would be in grave danger. In terms of speed and movement techniques, it was impossible for him to contend with this demon. Fortunately, he had been cultivating here for more than 4 months and had already set up many things. As his body flickered, starlight suddenly erupted from the ground, forming a grand array. The star power of the formation surged and spun. Numerous star whirlpools formed and wrapped the Tao Realm Transformation 20 Demon within. After reaching the size manipulation realm of the 19th transformation, one's body could expand or shrink at will, and their attacks were extremely terrifying. It was not something that an expert of the Jindan Great Path could compare with. After attaining size manipulation, there were no longer any restraints on one's physical body. Putting aside the myriad of means one could utilize in battle, one could even gather one's strength together, granting it immense destructive and penetrative power. And at the 20th transformation, it was even more tyrannical. It had more combat techniques, and it was almost impossible to be killed. Gu Chensha had long studied the battle of such experts and had calculated it thousands of times in his mind. Thus, he had already prepared a formation to trap this person. The starlight was like a flood, and in the blink of an eye, it covered several miles of land. Be it the demon that was wrapped up in the formation, its ability to shrink or turn into gas was greatly restricted. The starlight sensed his aura and stuck to his body like maggots. As long as it touched his body, there would be a popping sound. Although the sound was crisp and soft, it was really strong. Each time it touched the demon's body, the demon's soul would shake and its energy would dissipate. Gu Chensha wasn't this demon's match in a one-on-one fight, but he knew how to lay out formations. Back then, he laid out a formation on Wuzhou Mountain and chased away the 18 transformation Jingfanqing. During these 4 months, he had planted the Heaven Monster Tree and started to modify the earth veins here. He used the tree as a formation core treasure to absorb blood and souls while absorbing the power of the stars. As time went on, he laid out a formation. With this formation, he wasn't at a disadvantage when dealing with the Tao Realm Transformation 20 Demon. Heaven Demon Chaos Hole. Seeing that the Tao Realm Transformation 20 Demon was trapped and unable to attack Gu Qinsha, the Shiman brothers dodged long ago in case they were of more help. But at that moment, a vicious expression appeared on the demon's face, and it suddenly shot out a black whirlpool. Immediately, ghostly wails and deities howled. All of the starlight and star sand divine lightning were no longer under the control of the formation, and they surged towards the pitch-black vortex. Even Gu Qinsha's primordial spirit and physical body were drawn along, and were about to be sucked into the vortex. Heaven Monster Chaos Hole. Gu Qinsha suddenly changed, and the entire formation changed once more. It turned into a giant whirlpool that sucked in the demon's Heaven Demon Chaos Hole. In the past, Gu Qinsha, Lu Baiwei, and the others were sucked in by the Heaven Monster Chaos Hole in the Book of Heaven Monster. Be it the Heaven Monster Chaos Hole or the Heaven Demon Chaos Hole, they used the soul to activate energy to form a giant force field. This force field had the ability to swallow and refine. This Tao Realm Transformation 20 Demon created the Heaven Demon Chaos Hole breaking formation, while Gu Qinsha used the Heaven Monster Chaos Hole to counter it. When the two chaotic holes collided, a powerful shockwave immediately erupted and swept in all directions. Originally, this shockwave could destroy any expert, and even the seven-colored demon vine was about to be blown to pieces. But the moment the shockwave exploded, the celestial slaying god slaying flying knife gourd on the vine moved slightly and absorbed all the shockwaves. It was as if the killing energy was a huge nourishment for the gourd. Rise! Gu Qinsha spread his arms and activated his stellar energy. Another punch was thrown at the monster. The demon didn't even bother looking. When Gu Qinsha's fist landed on its body, it suddenly scattered and turned into a ball of demonic energy formed by runes. This wasn't Xiantian Earth energy, and it wasn't soul energy either. It was an energy current formed from its own body. This energy current was the energy of the impermanence 20 transformation realm. This was the essence of all one's cultivation. Demons swallow heaven and earth. The demonic energy wrapped around Gu Qinsha and turned into a seal that was about to freeze him within. This demonic energy was much stronger than Xiantian Earth energy. Gu Qinsha felt his body tighten up, and he felt like he couldn't move at all. It was as if he had been sealed in a formation. Tao Realm 20 transformation is really amazing. I actually can't fight back at all. No matter how I attack him, I can't harm him at all. This was the first time Gu Qinsha had fought against an elite of the 20 transformations. Only now did he truly feel how powerful his opponent was. If this person had mastered the 21 transformations of the 5 elements, he probably wouldn't even need to use any tricks. He could just pounce at me and turn into the power of the 5 elements to trap me. With just a bit of refinement, I would be completely refined. Human, just die. The demon turned into runes, and demonic energy wrapped around Gu Qinsha. It spun and wanted to drill into Gu Qinsha's body to turn him into a puppet and steal his soul and memories. I know you've cultivated the immortal slaying, God-vanquishing gourd, and that the power of the saber is immense, and it can hurt me. However, I'm currently using demonic arts, and I'm one with you. If you activate the saber, you'll be killing yourself. With that puny cultivation base of yours, you are no match for me at all. The difference between our realms is so huge. Do you really think that you can overturn the heavens? The will of the monster instantly descended upon Gu Qinsha's mind, wanting to wrest control over it. At the same time, the demonic energy drilled into Gu Qinsha's body and started to control his meridians, dantian, and energy ocean. This was a really dangerous action. If Gu Qinsha was totally controlled, he would really become a puppet. Logically speaking, with his Tao Realm 14 transformation soul leaving body cultivation, he wouldn't be able to fight Tao Realm 20 transformation gathering and dispersing impermanence realm. In just one clash, he would be totally controlled and refined. But now that the demon's will and demonic energy drilled into Gu Chench's mind, energy ocean, and meridians, he actually faced a huge resistance. There is a really strong power in Gu Chench's body that wanted to swallow and refine the demon's demonic energy. This was the strength of Gu Chench's Sun-Moon Dragon body. How could the body of Son of Heaven be tainted by an evil demon? But his realm was too low and he could only resist slightly. He couldn't truly refine the demonic energy. Control the mind. At this moment, the monster had completely fused with Gu Chench's body. It could turn into a stream of energy and control every part of Gu Chench's body. It could directly devour him and obtain all his cultivation and memories. The most important thing now was to pierce through Gu Chench's sea of consciousness and destroy his resisting will. Only then would it succeed. How long? The demon's demonic energy pressed onto Gu Chench's meridians and energy ocean, turning his Sciention earth energy into demonic energy. Then, the giant will started to crush his mind and soul. This battle was the most dangerous, and it was different from Sciention earth energy. Even if one failed, one could still escape. But now, if one failed, one's body and soul would be wiped out. There was no way to regret at all. Moreover, the Sun-Moon altar wasn't in Gu Chench's mind anymore. If the Sun-Moon altar was still there, even a god wouldn't be able to destroy his soul. The demon was courting death by entering his mind. But the Sun-Moon altar had flown away, and Gu Chencha had nothing to rely on. Man and tree as one. At this time, Gu Chencha suddenly used some kind of secret art. The seven-colored demonic vine wrapped around him and started to absorb it. It was forcefully absorbing the demonic energy that the demon had seeped into his body. It's useless. If this tree of yours had evolved into a real heavenly demon tree, I would have run as far as I could. Unfortunately, I don't even have 1/10,000th of its power now. Just nice, I can refine this tree as well. The demon sent out a sinister will. What vigorous earth energy and bloodline. What a strong soul. How special. If I refine you, my cultivation will skyrocket. This kid is in danger. Chapter 320. Don't attack first. I don't believe that Gu Chencha will let the demon take his soul and flesh just like that. He definitely has a trump card. Gu Chencha seemed to have read Wu Dongkong's mind. Zhuge, the Lord of 7 Stars of the Celestial Communist Bureau, is a shrewd schemer. He gave Gu Chencha an idea. He definitely won't let him die in vain. Of course, I know that. Moreover, Gu Chencha isn't simple either. He won't put himself in danger. Wu Dongkong sneered. I've studied his information before. Back then, he was just a prince who was ostracized. He had a fortuitous encounter in the 14th year of Heavenly Talisman, and now 6 years have already passed. To think that he has grown to such a realm. His actions are definitely not simple. The Celestial Tranquility Department can be said to be created by him. How could such a character die in the hands of the monsters? Even if the demon is a 20th transformation expert. I want to see how this kid will turn the tables. The moment he turns the tables, we can attack. Gu Chencha laughed. We have helped him a lot these days, so we should have collected some interest. If we hadn't urged the demons to swarm over and he wanted to capture them himself, how could the Sky Demon Tree have cultivated so quickly? There are 2 more here, so we can't be careless. Wu Dongkong deduced. One of them is probably stronger than both of us. It has probably reached Tao Realm 22, phenomenon of heaven and earth. When it reaches this realm, its body can change at will. It can turn into stone, tree, animal, and we won't even know if it gets close to us. Phenomenon of heaven and earth is used to form all things in the world. Even I haven't broken through to this realm. Gu Chencha sighed. Reaching this realm is a whole new world. Tao Realm 6 cultivates astral energy. Tao Realm 14 forms the Yuan soul, and Tao Realm 20 forms gathering and dispersing. It combines astral energy, the body, and the Yuan soul into one to turn it into spiritual power. It is so mysterious that it is hard to describe with words. Wu Dongkong pointed out the mysteries of cultivation. At this moment, Gu Chunsha was in danger. The Tao realm transformation 20 demon entered his body and controlled him. It started to refine him, and he was unable to block it with his own strength. Even if he borrowed the seven-colored demon vine strength, it was useless. This dermic power is indeed above essence soul power. Gu Chunsha was restrained. He felt like he was in purgatory, and the depths of his consciousness were a sea of lava. However, he did not panic at all. Instead, he circulated his stellar energy and nascent divinity to resist. What he used was the Son of Heaven's God sealing techniques, sun and moon refinement, which was to refine the monsters that had entered his body. However, this demon was at the 20th transformation of the Tao realm, gather and disperse impermanence realm. He had already merged his physical body, astral energy, and essence spirit into one, forming spiritual power. The 20th transformation of Tao realm was when the body turned into energy, gathering it and spreading it out was energy. This chi was magic power. The so-called law was a rule. The law was to set a rule, and magic power was the power of the rule. When a cultivator reached the 19th transformation of the Tao realm, they would have trained their physical body to the limit. To break through to the 20th transformation, they would have to gather their physical body, astral energy, and essence spirit to explode and turn into spiritual power. Breaking through this transformation was really dangerous, and the mortality rate was much higher than before. Since ancient times, there had been as many cultivators in the world as there were carps in the river. However, only 1 in 100 managed to cultivate the innate upstanding chi, 1 in 1,000 managed to cultivate the glass J body, and 1 in 10,000 managed to cultivate the primordial spirit. As for those who cultivated the golden core, it was extremely rare. As for those who cultivated spiritual power, only those with great wisdom, perseverance, luck, and luck would have a chance. Physical body strength, sciention astral energy, and essence spirit power would all be gathered together to form spiritual power. Each stage was a qualitative change. If a cultivator used physical body strength to fight against someone who cultivated sciention astral energy, it would be a one-sided battle. Gu Chunsha was now at the 14th transformation of the Tao realm. His essence spirit left his body, and when he faced a monster at the 20th transformation, he was restricted. But he finally sensed how strong the spiritual power was. This personal experience was much better than deducing it. Even if there was just a thread of spiritual power, it was like a bone maggot that couldn't be removed. The mysteriousness of spiritual power wasn't something that he could refine and shatter. Even if he used sun and moon refining, sky monster secret technique, and even his common people heaven mending technique and Lu Baiyu's common people heaven changing technique to circulate in his body, it was useless. This was a difference in quality, a difference in realm that couldn't be made up for. At the end of the Tao realm, each realm was a huge difference. It wasn't like the few realms before where the difference wasn't as huge. For example, from 1st to 5th transformation, one used physical strength. There was a limit, and one could use weapons, herbs, and cultivation techniques to make up for it. When Gu Chunsha was at the 2nd transformation, he could deal with those at the 5th and 6th transformation. He relied on the Son of Heaven God sealing technique to strengthen his body. But now that he was facing a 20th transformation expert, all cultivation techniques were useless. If he had the Dragon Gate, he could use that treasure to swallow spiritual power. He could use the true essence within to work with Buzhou Palace to suppress this demon. But now, he had nothing and could only fight it head-on. This is a good chance to train. Gu Chunsha was persevering in his heart, but he didn't have any fear. His spirit had long been cultivated to the point where it was as firm as a boulder. He wasn't afraid of life and death, and he wasn't afraid of danger. From start to finish, he remained calm. This was a good chance to train his heart. The monster's spiritual power continued to seep in and wanted to drown his mind and swallow his soul. If nothing went wrong, he would definitely die. How long? All of a sudden, Gu Dusha erupted. His soul and his mind gave off an intense glow. In the depths of his mind, his soul turned into a heaven eye that chased away all the black energy. At the crucial moment, he didn't suppress his cultivation and broke through to the 15th transformation. The heaven eye hung in the air. This realm was a transformation when one's soul was condensed to the extreme. At the 14th transformation, one soul was slightly weak and couldn't fly high into the air. It was afraid of wind, lightning, magnetic field changes, etc. At the 15th transformation, the soul's power would increase greatly and it wouldn't be afraid of anything. Even if it flew high into the air and was struck by yin-yang lightning, it wouldn't die. Of course, if it was an intense lightning explosion, the soul wouldn't be able to take it. As for Guchench's soul, it was dozens of times stronger than people of the same realm. When he was at the 14th transformation, he was able to multitask, and even golden core experts couldn't compare to him. The monster's soul power probably couldn't compare to his. However, the fiend's had dermic powers. Even a sliver of it was far superior to his primordial spirit power and stellar energy. Luckily, he had a trump card. After he reached the 15th transformation, the depths of his mind shone brightly, and he actually started to chase away the monster's spiritual power. Human, you are really stubborn. You are still raising your realm at such a time. Do you think that you can escape from me just like that? Your primordial spirit and fleshly body will always be mine. The fiend monster erupted again, activating all of its magic power to firmly suppress Guchencha. The monster didn't use all its strength in case of an ambush. It only used a third of its strength, and that was enough to suppress Guchencha. But after Guchencha advanced to the 15th transformation, heavens, I suspend space. He could no longer suppress 1/3 of his magic power. He could only use half of his power. This was the limit of what he could use. If he exceeded that, people would take advantage of him. At that time, he would be able to refine Guchencha, but he would also be killed by other monster experts. 9 heaven stars, refine the demon. Guchencha used his primordial spirit to activate the 7-colored demonic vine and the formation that he had set up earlier. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. The power of the stars in the sky sensed it and poured down like a waterfall. The 7-color demon vine cooperated with Guchencha and used all its strength. When the power of the stars landed on the tree, it turned into astral flames. They coiled around each other and entered Guchencha's acupoints to refine the demonic chi. In an instant, everything within several kilometers was enveloped by the astral true fire. After the 7-color demon vine evolved into the touch of the ghostly god and then the heavenly demon tree, it turned the evil spirits into the 28 constellation Fey gods. They directly absorbed the power of the stars and turned it into a constellation formation with unparalleled power. So now, the 7-color demon vine also had the ability to absorb the power of the stars. 28 constellations destroy the demon. At this time, the 28 evil spirits on the heavenly demon tree also chanted. They were wrapped in the fruit and squirmed, absorbing the huge power of the stars, and actually began to evolve. The outside of the fruit condensed into the hornwood dragon, Kong gold dragon, D-earth raccoon, room sun rabbit, heart moon fox, tail fire tiger, water leopard of winnowing basket, wood dragon, ghost goat, earth deer willow, sun horse star, moon deer of extended net, winged fire snake, Jin waterworm, Kuei wood wolf, Lu gold dog, stomach earth pheasant, Pleiades sun chicken, by moon crow, Jiao fire monkey, water ape, wood fighting hoe golden ox, earth bat a girl, sun rat of emptiness, Wei moon swallow, room fire pig, wall water serpent. The formation was activated fiercely. The astral true fire in the sky seemed to turn into a sphere and fell down. Inside the formation, the dragon snake lightning penetrated Guchencha's body. Guchencha's body seemed to turn into a grave of falling stars. This was the strongest move of the myriad stars flying immortal art, grave of stars. He turned his body into a peerless grave, causing all the stars to perish and fall into the grave to be buried. With his common people heaven-mending art as the foundation, he activated the ancient 28 constellations demon god transformation of the sky demon mystic art. Together with the myriad stars flying immortal art, he combined them to evolve the Tao of demon slaying. The power of the stars was the best at destroying demons. At this moment, all the stars in the sky seemed to appear. Everyone in a radius of thousands of miles could see that in broad daylight, the sun, moon, and stars actually appeared. They each emitted light and descended fiercely. They gathered into a thick pillar of stars, as though they formed a path to heaven. Gu Qinsha circulated it at full strength. Together with the power of the formation, he was actually so mighty. Impressive. When Wu Dangkong, who was about to make a move, saw this scene, he suppressed his own thoughts. This Gu Qinsha is really starting to counterattack. He actually raised his cultivation level and activated the grand array that he prepared earlier, borrowing the power of the stars to refine the demon. Chapter 3:21. Gu Qinsha is indeed a genius. It's a pity that I can't use such a person, and he even goes against me. Wu Dongkong's expression kept changing. At this point, she couldn't help but admire this person. What's your goal? Do you want to overthrow my great Yong? Gu Qinsha smiled faintly. Do you hate father for forcing you into the palace as a concubine? That's right. Wu Dangkong didn't have any misgivings now. However, if Gu Taxian disappears, it's not impossible for me to take control of the great Yonko court and ascend to the throne as the empress. I will definitely govern the world well. Can you govern the world well? Gu Qinsha asked. How can you know what I'm capable of? Wu Dangkong had the heavenly sacrificial talisman with her, so she was naturally fearless and would always be in an invincible position. She thought, although the Emperor of Yonko had the heavenly sacrificial talisman, there were many restrictions at that time. The people's qi wasn't abundant, and the laws were irregular. The fate of the country was weak, so the Emperor's qi wasn't much. But now, the world is more than 100 times stronger than it was in ancient times. The Emperor's qi is so dense that it can't be compared to ancient times. If I can grasp the opportunity, I can definitely cultivate the Emperor's God bestowment art to an unprecedented level. This is my best chance. I know you have some hidden tricks. Gu Qinsha looked at Gu Dangkong, thinking about something. I came back this time because I need your help with something. What is it? Wu Dangkong couldn't take Gu Qinsha lightly. I came back this time to obtain the position of Crown Prince. If I become the Crown Prince, won't our cooperation be flawless? Gu Qinsha said. Crown Prince? You want to be the Crown Prince? Wu Dangkong was a little surprised. Gu Taxian has to personally confer the title. How can I do that? Don't worry. If my guess is correct, I will soon receive Father's imperial edict to make me the Crown Prince. I just don't want you to interfere. Gu Xuansha's tone was very mysterious. You know what Gu Taxian is going to do next? Wu Dangkong was on high alert. She was now the chief of the upper study room and the regent of the state. Although she could not subdue her subordinates, she still had a title and could slowly build up her power. However, if there was a crown prince, things would be different. How can you know my background? Gu Qinsha returned the question to Wu Dangkong. Wu Dangkong was so angry that he almost vomited blood. His eyes were cold, and he actually wanted to kill. Well, even if you are ambitious, you can't do it alone. Why don't we work together and share the world? That would be a good thing. Gu Xuansha's words made Wu Dangkong's killing intent even stronger. Let's not talk about the crown prince for now. Wu Dangkong waved his hand. Right now, we need to deal with the monsters and Gu Qinsha. After both sides are injured, we can take advantage of the situation. I just want Gu Qinsha's memories and the heavenly demon tree. I want his essence blood and part of his primordial spirit to make a treasure. A smile appeared on Gu Xuansha's face. Of course, his memories are not trivial. They contain many cultivation methods and mysteries. He can actually activate the dead black tortoise and vermilion bird eggs. With this essence blood, I could do a lot of things. Do you also have the dead eggs of ancient holy beasts? Wu Dangkong asked. That's not for outsiders to know. Gu Qinsha was mysterious again. That's strange. Logically, Only the blood of the Sun Moon Dragon can activate a dead holy beast egg. Why can Gu Chunsha also activate it? Did he also cultivate the Son of Heaven investiture technique? Impossible. Wu Dangkong pondered. Maybe it's the mystery of the Great Massacre Divine technique? It seems that I can only understand everything by capturing this person and obtaining his memories. Let's not kill his people. Gu Xinsha said, after we kill him, I'm afraid that the Jingxian department will take revenge on us. After we capture him, we can extract his memories and essence blood and take them to the court. We can say that he overestimated himself and cultivated demonic arts. He wanted to open the seal of the Sea of Sin and absorb monsters. Instead, he was eroded by the monsters, which led to the invasion of the monster army. We saved him. Good idea. We have the high ground now. Wu Dangkong naturally agreed with this idea. When he captured Jing Fanqing, he slandered me. Let's see how he can escape this time. Let's see if Zhuge Ye has any follow-up tricks. Gu Xinsha looked at the sky in the distance. In the Jingxian department, the only one I'm afraid of is this person. Of course, Jin Suebua is definitely not simple. Jin Suebua has the Book of Wuji behind him. But this time, he was bewitched by Zhuge Ye and forcibly refined 5 stars. There will be more disasters in the future. When Wu Dangkong was about to say something, the devil Qi in the distance suddenly surged and cut off the light of stars. He immediately knew what had happened. The devil has used 80% of his power. Gu Xinsha said, it seems that he has to get Gu Chinch's body and soul. Let's see if he has more trump cards. Gu Chinch's body was shining with stars for a while and was surrounded by black gas for a while. This was the sign of being possessed by the devil. The devil used half of his power, but he couldn't suppress Gu Qinsha. So, he increased his power and used 80% of his power. This 80% power was not trivial. It immediately cut off the channel through which the power of stars fell. A black cloud covered the sky, forcibly covering the power of stars. In the big formation, many devil shadows appeared. Flesh-like flames appeared out of thin air, burning the big formation and making it sizzling. This was the demonic fire. Gu Qinsha was about to melt in the demonic fire. Suddenly, his aura rose again. The soul in the depths of his mind underwent a shocking change. The soul gave off an aura like that of the sun and moon. His mind expanded and his body shone brightly. It was like someone had sealed the light of primordial beginning within. Tao Realm 16 Transformations, Reincarnation. The demon roared in rage. At that moment, Gu Chansha actually raised his realm once more and reached the Tao Realm 16 Transformations, Reincarnation Realm. The so-called Reincarnation Realm meant that one's soul completely abandoned their physical body and borrowed someone else's body to recover their life. This realm represented another meaning, which was the complete separation of the soul and body. Although every time he possessed someone else's body, his soul would be damaged and his cultivation would regress, it was still a completely new realm. His nascent soul had severed its connection with his physical body, allowing him to maintain his form in the world without dissipating. Normally speaking, the soul needed to be nourished by the physical body. If it left the physical body for too long, it would slowly wither and disappear from the world. If the physical body died, then even if the soul entered another body, the physical body would not be in sync with the soul, causing the physical body to die. After reaching Reincarnation Realm, the soul would understand the mysteries of the physical body and could adjust its own frequency to suit any physical body. This was a detailed realm that represented the improvement of one's soul and soul. One would be able to better sense heaven and earth and all living beings. When one reached this realm, the frequency of one's soul fluctuations couldn't be compared to the 15 transformations. The 15 transformations, heavens I suspending, meant that one soul was tough and didn't need to be afraid of heaven and earth fluctuations. The 16 transformations, Reincarnation Realm, went one step further and became one with the frequency of all living beings. When one reached this realm, one could use the soul to absorb spiritual energy and use formations to harmonize the physical body, causing the physical body and soul to become more perfect. The strength of all sorts of martial arts and energy would increase by several times. The 16 transformations, reincarnation realm, was like that in theory. It didn't just mean that the soul could be possessed. 1. The instant Gu Chansha advanced to the 16th transformation, reincarnation by possessing a corpse. His vital chi, stellar energy, and essence soul immediately formed a resonance. The power of the netherworld was born from his limbs and bones, meridians, acupoints, sea of energy, and sea of consciousness. The entire formation's fluctuations became several times more compatible with him. Huge starlight surged into the sky, scattering the black clouds once again. The power of the stars transformed into flames, musical notes, swords, and Dharma treasures that descended. As Gu Chensha's powerful soul circulated, the power of the stars was no longer light. Instead, it took on various forms. In the end, it even transformed into the shadows of fairies and divine generals that directly descended into the formation. Under such a powerful guidance, the formation that Gu Chansha had set up for 4 months unleashed a tremendous power. The 7-color demonic vine was originally dark gold in color, but now it actually became the color of the resplendent stars. It seemed to have transformed into a star tree. Immortal's soul breakthrough. Gu Chensha's soul rippled once more. He used the common people mending heaven technique and the common people reforming heaven technique. Instantly, huge amounts of spiritual energy and celestial energy broke through the void and descended, striking the rainbow demon vine. The common people reforming heaven technique was evolved from the great massacre god technique. It could absorb all sorts of dimensional energy and use all sorts of mysterious formulas to combine them. In the end, one would have endless Sciention energy, soul power, and even spiritual power. Gu Chansha wasn't able to fully comprehend the great massacre god technique, but after his cultivation reached the 16 transformations, he comprehended some of its profoundness. Under his activation, the common people reforming heaven technique rippled, and he felt all sorts of dimensions. In a trance, he felt like the entire world was different. The world wasn't like what he saw in front of him. Instead, there were many layers, twisting dimensions that stacked on top of each other endlessly. He seemed to see countless dimensions. Among those dimensions, some were complete worlds with living beings, and some were flat worlds without living beings, all filled with all kinds of vital energy. However, seeing was just seeing. He couldn't absorb energy from some dimensions. It was just like how ordinary people couldn't absorb the sun, moon, and stars when they saw them. His realm wasn't there yet, or rather, he couldn't truly comprehend the supreme profoundness of the great massacre god technique. However, such a change in realm allowed him to condense the sky demon tree even faster. In an instant, the 7-colored demon vine grew even more vines and absorbed all the power of the stars. It returned to its dark gold color, but all sorts of talismans formed on the tree again. Those talismans became leaves, and the talismans on each leaf danced like ghosts and gods. This was the sign of advancing to the ghostly god touch. Chapter 322. Gu Chansha used his Tao Realm 16 transformation body reincarnation cultivation to use the formation and the 7-color demon vine to refine the 20 transformation impermanence gathering demon monster. He had advanced 2 realms consecutively and even comprehended some secrets of the great massacre divine art. This was no small matter. The gap between him and the demon shrunk. Of course, even with his cultivation, he was no match for the demon. Luckily, he laid out the formation for 4 months and killed millions of demons to form the 7-colored demon vine. He stored a huge amount of energy in the roots of the vine. Now that he activated all of it, he used it to refine the demon's power and nourish himself. The battle with the demon benefited him greatly. His strength increased greatly, and he comprehended many things that he hadn't comprehended before. His talent was that of a top genius, and he absorbed the star mysteries of heaven sin and earth evil. His talent was even better, and he was already at the peak of the top geniuses. His comprehension ability was not something that normal experts could compare to. It was even tough to find a few people with higher talent than him in the 72 celestial pathgates. His ability to comprehend had been proven right now. Under the refinement of the monster's magic power, some of the concepts that he couldn't fuse together were now connected. Many of the cultivation problems that he had been pondering over were now solved. Heaven Monster Book, Son of Heaven God Sealing Technique, Great Massacre God Technique, 10,000 Star Flying Celestial Technique, etc. Many new things were merged into the common people heaven mending technique. Gu Qinsha placed himself on the brink of death to train himself. Between life and death, he forced out his potential and forcefully comprehended some things to raise his cultivation. This was a part of his plan. If he didn't fight to the death, then how would he have any achievements? He was really calm and used the power of the stars to refine the demon. You human, you deserve to die. You actually stole a portion of my power. The demons will roar like thunder in Gu Qinsha's mind. Right when Gu Qinsha advanced to the 16 transformation of Tao Realm, he was caught off guard. The shaking frequency of the formation and Gu Qinsha actually refined close to 1% of his power. Originally, it was impossible for magic power to be refined by low-level primordial spirit power. However, at the crucial moment, Gu Qinsha comprehended some of the mysteries of the Great Massacre God technique. With a sudden vibration, he broke through some of the weak points of the fiend monster in one fell swoop and obtained some benefits. This 1% of power was really shocking, but it didn't merge into Gu Qinsha's body. Instead, it merged into the 7-colored demon vine. With the support of this high-level energy, the 7-colored demonic vine once again shone brightly. This light was black and white. Black represented ghosts, while white represented gods. This was a sign that it was about to evolve into the Ghost God Touch. Gu Qinsha took advantage of this opportunity and suddenly activated it. The gourd on the 7-colored demon vine suddenly spewed out a stream of air. Within the stream of air, there was a flying knife. The flying dagger had eyes. It flew over and pierced into Gu Qinsha's body. Kacha! With just one knife, cold knife energy flowed all around Gu Qinsha's body. It entered his meridians, energy ocean, and even his mind. This knife could kill celestials and gods. The strongest part was the killing energy that shocked the heavens. Kill, 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 kill. Gu Qinsha's entire body was immediately filled with boundless killing intent. But he was unharmed because this was his own treasure. With this slash, the monster's magic power was destroyed, and about 1/10 of it was absorbed by Gu Qinsha. All of it was sent into the 7-colored demon vine. The vine grew really fast, like it was about to reach into the clouds and attract yin and yang. Heaven attracting lightning. Gu Qinsha took advantage of this opportunity to use his secret magic again. Instantly, the yin and yang in the sky were thrown into chaos. Lightning flashed and thunder boomed. All of it gathered on Gu Qinsha, causing his entire body to crackle with thunder and lightning. This was another secret technique of the Heaven Monster Tree. It could mess up yin and yang and attract lightning to break the demon once more. The demon's aura and power were both weakened. Gu Qinsha was actually going to refine this Tao Realm 20 demon in his body. The 7-colored demonic vine was continuously nourished, and its power became even stronger. Vital energy circulated within it, and the appearances of the 28 demons began to change. They chanted countless sutras from their mouths. Is he really going to refine this Tao Realm 20 demon? Wu Dangkong and Gu Qinsha didn't expect Gu Qinsha to improve so many times. It was just so shocking. There really is such a possibility. If nothing unexpected happens, this monster is seeking his own destruction. He scattered his entire body into magical power and entered Old 19's body to devour him. Now, Teacher's body has become a cage that can't let him out. If he chooses to use spells to escape, then old 19 really can't do anything to him. Gu Xinsha frowned. Of course, it won't be easy for old 19 to refine this demon. He won't succeed without a year and a half. I think the other demons will take action at this time. What we need to pay attention to now is the demon that has cultivated to the 22 changes, the phenomenon of heaven and earth. As soon as he finished speaking, 2 streams of demonic energy shot up from the grassland of the 3,000-mile bottomless sea of sin. They appeared. There seemed to be some excitement on Wu Dangkong's face. These monsters in Gu Chansha, they would never have guessed what my trump card is. I'm going to catch them all today. In that instant, she activated the sacrifice with a single thought. In the depths of her sea of consciousness, the grotto heaven sacrifice began. The 6 million souls and blood suddenly evaporated and were collected by the power of the way of heaven in the sun and moon altar. Then, an unparalleled power filled her body. Then, a space was born in the depths of her sea of consciousness and sea of qi. What? At that moment, Gu Chansha also felt a surge of the power of the way of heaven in her body. It also opened up a space in the depths of her soul and sea of consciousness. This is the grotto heaven sacrifice. It uses 6 million souls and blood to worship the way of heaven. Then, like a god, it opens up a space in the depths of her soul and sea of consciousness. It should be Wu Dangkong who started the sacrifice, but I got the advantage. Gu Qinsha had a deep understanding of the Son of Heaven's God-sealing art, sun and moon sacrificial art. He immediately understood. It seems like everything is going according to my calculations. I already knew that this place was suppressing the devil beasts, and Wu Dangkong definitely knew about it. She also needed the devil beasts here to sacrifice to her in order to obtain great benefits. My plan originally included her, so how could she escape my calculations? Crack, crack. The power of the way of heaven opened up a space in Gu Chincha's body. The space gradually expanded like a chaotic sphere. When the space inside was the size of a house, it stopped. There were a total of 2. His soul and sea of consciousness were both the size of a house. At the same time, the power of space surged into his meridians and acupoints. Although it didn't turn the meridians and acupoints into grotto heavens, it greatly increased the strength of his body. When he breathed, he could compress the Xiantian earth energy and refine the power of the soul. Be it the power of the soul or the Xiantian earth energy, they were all refined from the body. The body was the final foundation. The sea of consciousness and energy were the 2 bellows, and the meridians were the channels. The stronger one was, the stronger the absorption and digestion ability. In just this short period of time, Gu Chincha's body was at least 10 times stronger. This was the power of space, the mysteries of space and time. After cultivating the 27-world seamless Tao realm, one would be able to tear open space and teleport. When one reached 30, one would be able to open up a grotto heaven. Only then would one be able to create a stable space in the depths of the chaotic space flow. At that moment, Gu Chansha received the power of space and time. It entered his body and merged with it. This was how amazing the power of the Heaven Tao was. Even a god couldn't create a space in a mortal's body. This was because the power of space and time was violent and hard to control. If it was created in the body, the person might die right away. But how amazing was the power of the Heaven Tao? He directly merged the power of space and time into his body. It was a perfect merger without any flaws. Haha. Everything was going according to Gu Chincha's plan. His fleshly body was strengthened, and a spatial grotto heaven appeared in his sea of consciousness and energy. He breathed in and out, and countless streams of vital energy entered his meridians, dantian, and sea of energy, absorbing the magical power of the monster. He used his Xiantian earth energy and space-time power surged in his body. It swallowed and spat like a snake swallowing the sun. The demon didn't expect that Gu Chincha's body could actually use space-time power. This was a power that only gods could use. Kacha. At that moment, 80% of the demon's power was shattered by the power of space and merged into Guchensh's body. Guchensh's original physical body could not contain such powerful magic power, but now he could do it with ease. The demon's power was directly absorbed into his sea of energy and sea of consciousness. It settled down and turned into his Sciention earth energy and Sciention soul power. Guchensha casually breathed, and a strong whirlpool appeared in the space. Demon, you probably didn't expect that I would have such a change, right? His will stabbed into the demon's will. The demon was already really weak and couldn't resist at all. I hate. The demon's will gave out a grievance, but it was useless. Guchensha absorbed it and smashed it apart. The change happened in an instant. From Wu Donkong's sacrifice to opening up the space with the power of the Heaven Tao, Guchensha used this power to kill the demon and absorb it into his body. Everything happened in the blink of an eye. At that moment, two streaks of demonic energy rose up from the center of the bottomless sea of sin. Damn, as expected, he took advantage of this moment. Guchensha completely digested the demon, and his strength increased once more. However, he didn't let his guard down when facing this demon. 7-colored demon vine shrink. Chapter 323. Long. Two streaks of demonic energy smashed into the treasure light and broke all 28 layers. The demonic energy was endless, especially one that seemed to have comprehended the mysteries of creation, the mysteries of heaven and earth, and the essence of all living things. Lawful embodiment of heaven and earth expert. Guchensha immediately understood that this was the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth of the 22 transformations of the Tao realm. Although he had refined the demon of the 20 transformations and the power of time and space had appeared in his body, he still needed time to consolidate his cultivation before he could charge to the 17 transformations of the Tao splitting soul or even the 18 transformations of the great Tao. The space power in his body was comparable to that of a god. Even if he faced an lawful embodiment of heaven and earth expert, he wouldn't be afraid at all. Upgrade. Touch of the Ghost God. Originally, it would have taken Guchensha a very long time for the demonic rainbow vine to reach the touch of the Ghost God. However, after obtaining the power of time and space and refining the devil beasts of the 20 transformations of the impermanence and materialization realm, the immense power and realm he gained was enough for the demonic rainbow vine to rapidly evolve into the touch of the Ghost God. Long. The 7-colored demon vine exploded, and there was a cracking sound from within. Lightning flashed, and purple energy shone. The entire vine quickly grew and spread into the sky. It was like a stairway to the heavens that could reach beyond the clouds. The entire tree was growing at a speed visible to the naked eye. It directly rushed into the clouds and spread its branches and leaves in the clouds. Bright nebulae immediately enveloped the treetop. The entire tree wasn't 7-colored, but dark gold. Countless talismans flowed on it, and it gave off an unparalleled aura. This was the touch of the Ghost God. This was the third stage of the heavenly demon tree's evolution. The so-called touch of the Ghost God was the tentacle of the Ghost God. This tree could communicate with the Ghost God and steal the essence of heaven and earth. At this moment, the strength of this tree was no weaker than an 18 transformation golden core expert. This was just the beginning. If it grew for a long time, it would be equivalent to a 29 transformation Tao realm expert. Then, it would only be weaker than a god. As for the heavenly demon tree, it would be like a god or even stronger than one. Of course, for Guchensha to evolve this tree to such a level, he would need hundreds or even thousands of years. Time waited for no one. Very good. It has finally evolved into the touch of the demon and god. It can be said that this tree has taken root here and become a sturdy fortress. Guchensha looked at the Ghost God's touch tree. Its vines were rapidly growing, reaching into the clouds. Below it, there were layers of fortress-like structures. He knew that this tree was a huge battle fortress. The vines on its branches intertwined, forming nests for an army to live in. Living in this nest could nourish one's mind and body and temper one's cultivation. One's growth was extremely fast. In ancient times, humans lived on trees. There was once a demonic sage who taught humans to build a nest and called it Have Nest. The touch of the ghost and God grew, and the vines wrapped around the tree trunk, extending for dozens of kilometers and reaching into the clouds. It was large enough to house hundreds of thousands of people, perhaps even millions. In ancient times, the great sages of the demon race refined the heavenly demon tree in order to protect their race. The entire race lived on the tree. Not only could it shelter them from the wind and rain, it could also speed up their cultivation. It was equivalent to a cave abode for cultivators. It could be said that the race with the heavenly demon tree was the real big race. It could survive in the cruel environment of ancient times, where the strong preyed on the weak. After mastering the touch of the ghost and God, Glyph could use it as a foundation to complete the first step of suppressing the bottomless sea of sin. He could turn the demons invading human beings into a magic treasure warehouse and a field for making elixirs. In this way, the power of the Tranquil Fairy Department would expand by more than 10 times, which would be enough to deal with all kinds of situations in the future. I have to thank Wu Dangkong for this. She actually activated the grand sacrifice of the heavenly abode, which increased the strength of my body by several times, or even 10 times. She also condensed the space in the depths of my sea of consciousness and sea of chi. From now on, no one can break my sea of consciousness and sea of chi. After completing the evolution of the 7-colored demonic vine into the ghost god's touch, Glyph hid in the ghost god's touch tree and defended like a turtle. He didn't attack, and the devil chi outside couldn't do anything to him. The two waves of devil chi bombarded each other repeatedly. However, every time they bombarded, the vines on the ghost god's touch tree would whip over and burst out balls of star divine thunder, blocking all the devil chi outside. Moreover, the starlight in the sky fell faster and faster. As time went by, the ghost god's touch would only become stronger and stronger. Glyph presided over it, and many mystical things were born. What on earth happened? Wu Dangkong was about to attack, but she forcibly stopped her magic power. Just now, when she activated the grand sacrifice of the heavenly abode, the power of time and space circulated in her body. She condensed the space in the depths of her sea of consciousness and sea of chi, which doubled her cultivation. She stabilized the strength in her body and was about to break through the realm. Then she attacked and killed everyone. However, she didn't expect that Glyph would burst out with an unimaginable combat power in an instant. He directly refined the monster of the 20 changes and resisted the devil chi from the other 2 demons. Then, he evolved the 7-colored demonic vine into the ghost god's touch. This time she was shocked. She felt Glyph's mountain-like aura and even the power of time and space. How can this be? Glyph also didn't expect this to happen. Of course, Wu Dangkong didn't expect that every time she performed the grand sacrifice, half of the sacrificial power would enter Glyph's body and benefit Glyph. She also didn't expect that the sacrificial decree would be distorted by Heaven Talisman Great Emperor's words, "Man conquers nature." This was unprecedented. Even if she was extremely intelligent, she wouldn't have expected such a thing to happen. The 2 waves of devil chi continuously attacked the ghost god's touch, but as long as Glyph didn't move, they couldn't do anything. Of course, if Glyph wanted to capture them and refine them, it was impossible. That monster of the 20 transformations had directly entered his body and occupied his sea of consciousness. Caught off guard, the power of space and time had completely scattered his magic power, killing him in both body and soul. If it had fought with Glyph, it definitely wouldn't have been so miserable. Don't act rashly. Glyph also saw that the 2 demonic chis kept attacking, but they couldn't do anything to Glyph. He frowned and said, "I miscalculated. I didn't expect old 19's trump card to be so strong. It seems that just now his body suddenly had the power of a god. The power of time and space itself was a power that only gods could control. Let's wait and see. Wu Dangkong was a bit shocked. She didn't know what was going on, so she naturally wouldn't attack fiercely. At this time, the two waves of devil chi felt that they couldn't attack, so they suddenly withdrew and disappeared. The monster deep in the demonic grass also disappeared. It seemed to have retreated. What a sneaky monster. Gu Qinsha sat in the depths of the tree that was dozens of miles wide. Dense vines intertwined to form a room. The vines were faintly dotted with stars, dazzling and gorgeous. He looked up and saw the tree's crown spread out in the clouds, forming many whirlpools that absorbed the power of the stars and spirit chi in the sky, as well as all kinds of astral winds and lightning explosions. The roots of the ghost god's touch spread deep underground, absorbing the devil chi and all the demonic grass that was growing wildly around it. Demonic grass was the monster's food. Without it, these monsters couldn't stay for long. Demons and monsters activate and evolve. Gu Qinsha began to activate the 28 demons and monsters. The 28 puppets actually began to evolve in their own directions. Their final goal was to become the 28 demon gods. When they had a little success, they could activate the tree and automatically absorb the power of the stars. Gu Qinsha didn't need to preside over it. These monsters have retreated. I can't kill more monsters to absorb their blood essence and souls to feed the tree. The speed of evolution will be greatly slowed down, which is not good for the overall situation. Gu Qinsha wasn't happy because of the retreat of the monsters. Instead, he was worried. My plan is to absorb all the monsters' blood essence and souls. I'll absorb as many as I can, and then I'll be able to condense as many pills and magic treasures as I can. The monsters and weapons were all made of good minerals, so they would also be absorbed by the ghost god's touch. The tree could now absorb many things, including blood essence and souls. Gu Qinsha knew that there were many treasures in the demonic domain under the seal of the bottomless sea of sin. They were just contaminated with devil chi. For example, there were swords and armors made of ancient nether iron, which had the mysterious ability to devour souls. There were also minerals such as demonic jade, demonic crystals, and demonic silver. They were all wonderful treasures. As long as he could dispel the devil chi, he could return to his original state and turn a demon into an immortal. Gu Qinsha was familiar with the ancient records. In the depths of many demonic domains, there were many treasures of heaven and earth. Moreover, there were many remains of ancient immortals in the demonic domains. They had fallen during the great war between immortals and demons. Many masters in the Shimen sect would sometimes go to various demonic domains to explore or hone their Dao techniques and martial arts. Shimen left, Shimen right. Gu Qinsha ordered. Yes, the Shimen brothers were also wrapped in the depths of layers of vines. The tree seemed to have become a natural cave and a palace room. It was very comfortable. Some of the rooms had vines gurgling with water and sweet fruits. They could live in this tree until the end of time. They secretly admired the mystery of creation. The tree could actually grow like this. You two guard the tree here. I'm about to leave to explore the demonic domain, Gu Qinsha said. Your Highness, I'm afraid it will be difficult for the two of us to guard this tree. This tree has already taken shape. If it is taken away by a master, won't your Highness' hard work be in vain? The Shimen brothers hurriedly persuaded. Why don't we go out and capture monsters for the tree to absorb? How many monsters can the two of you capture? Gu Qinsha waved his hand. If this tree can't absorb monsters, its growth will be extremely slow. So I'll go catch them myself. You don't have to worry. I have my own ideas. Chapter 3:24. Gu Qinsha has left the tree. It seems to be an opportunity for us. Wu Dangkong had been observing. He saw Gu Qinsha wrapped in gang chi and killed his way into the center of the bottomless sea of sin, where the seal was broken. Wu Dangkong couldn't help but look at ancient mystic sand. Her intention was obvious. She wanted to take this opportunity to snatch the ghost god touch. I'm tempted too. The ghost god touch is difficult to refine. Once this tree is refined, it will be like a war fortress. It will automatically absorb spiritual chi and immortal chi, and then absorb the flesh and souls of monsters. It will give birth to all kinds of elixirs, magic treasures, weapons, demons, puppets, and the immortal slaying gourd. Ancient mystic Sand's eyes sparkled. If I get this tree, I can raise an army of 100,000. It won't be strange to train all of them to the Tao realm. This tree is mine. We've already agreed. Are you going to go back on your word? Wu Dankong's cultivation had improved. He already felt that ancient mystic Sand was very weak, so he spoke impolitely. She had performed the grand sacrifice of the heavenly abode. Although she didn't get all the power, her body had merged with the power of time and space. Her combat power had been many times more profound. She was confident that she could directly crush ancient mystic Sand. Of course, she also had some scruples about the power behind ancient mystic Sand, so she wasn't aggressive. Your cultivation has improved a lot in an instant. Murderous intent suddenly burst out of ancient mystic Sand's eyes, which surprised Wu Dankong. You've hidden a lot of tricks. It seems that neither of us has revealed our real trump cards. Wu Dankong waved his hand. Now is the time for sincere cooperation. We don't have to fight. In one word, we still capture Gu Chansha and get his memory and the ghost god touch. How about we share this treasure? With this treasure, your Hongyun Games and my scenic Wu Chamber of Commerce will no longer lack any magic treasures and elixirs. We will become the richest in the world. Okay, ancient mystic Sand looked at the ghost god touch again. She didn't really take action. Instead, she observed again and again. Ol 19 is really not simple. He left something in the tree. He seems to be luring the enemy in and using it as bait to lure the masters out so that he could devour them again. I can also see some killing intent. Wu Dankong was disappointed. She wanted Gu Xiansha to make the first move, but she didn't expect that Gu Chansha could see through Gu Chencha's trick. Let's wait a little longer. Gu Xiansha frowned and said, I miscalculated once. I didn't expect him to have a surprise attack. Suddenly, a godlike power surged out of his body and refined a monster of 20 changes in one go. Since that's the case, it's not surprising that he still has a trump card. Wu Dankong didn't say anything else. He just looked at the gigantic touch of the demon and god tree, his heart filled with longing. However, Gu Chansha made her tremble with fear. She didn't know how many trump cards he had hidden. My empty city stratagem really scared a lot of people. Gu Chansha hid in the demonic grass. His mind was connected to the touch of the demon and god tree. He had been cultivating here for nearly 5 months. He had refined the blood-sucking devil vine into the 7-colored demon vine, and then the touch of the demon and god. There were many strange phenomena. Many experts and powers had received the news. They would definitely have many ideas. After a few tests, he knew that Wu Dankong was definitely hiding nearby. So he deliberately acted strong. First, to kill the monster. Second, to lure the snake out of its hole. Third, to set up the empty city stratagem. Deep in his sea of consciousness and sea of chi, there were 2 spaces. Each space was the size of a house. It wasn't very big, but it was enough to kill the monster and store the soul essence blood. The monster didn't attack him, which made his progress slow. He had to take risks. If I can capture a monster at the 20th transformation and refine it into the touch of the demon and god, then I can save 100 years of evolution time. Gu Chansha was confident. He could definitely kill a monster at the 20th transformation now. His body contained the power of space and energy. His body's acupoints and meridians merged with the power of space. He could compare to an ancient god beast body. Moreover, he was at the 16th transformation of Tao realm, reincarnation. Compared to people of the same realm, his astral energy and soul power were dozens of times stronger. Naturally, he had to thank Wu Dankong for this. So, he arrived at the center of the plains and saw that a few miles of land had caved in. It was pitch black inside, and one couldn't see the bottom. Demonic energy shot out from within. If this demonic energy continues and spreads, it will affect the entire Sim province. It might even spread outside of Sim province. These damn monsters, no matter what, we can't kill them all. Why can't the world be peaceful? Monster, barbarian race, we can't kill them all? I don't believe it. Killing intent brewed in Gu Chinch's heart. He didn't have the strength to seal this place. This hole was connected to an unknown demon region, and demonic energy filled the area. He observed from above the hole. Sciention astral energy wrapped around his body to block off the demonic energy to prevent it from entering his meridians. In the distance, the touch of the ghost god's crown entered the clouds and formed a whirlpool that crazily absorbed the demonic energy. In fact, demonic chi was also a type of energy. However, once a living being absorbed it, they would be able to cultivate very quickly. However, the death rate of chi deviation was also extremely high. People would also have thoughts of destroying everything, which would lead to distortion. Even gods wouldn't be able to avoid it. This was why the living beings in the demon region were all twisted, bloodthirsty, and would kill one another. In ancient times, countless sages of the demon race had researched ways to turn demonic aura into nutrients. The heavenly demon tree was born with this as the foundation. This was also one of the reasons why Gu Chansha came to suppress the demon region. After mastering the touch of the ghost god, the speed at which he absorbed demonic energy increased greatly, causing the demonic energy in the sky to thin out. He estimated that after mastering the heaven monster tree, the demonic energy here would no longer be a problem. However, even with his current speed, mastering the heaven monster tree would probably take decades. This would also require Gu Chansha to constantly kill the monsters. Fortunately, Gu Chinch's cultivation improved by leaps and bounds. The higher his cultivation, the faster his refinement speed. Angling, Gu Chinsha didn't enter the demon cave directly. Instead, he landed and hid in the depths of the demonic herbs. He looked at the churning demonic energy in the cave and observed his surroundings. He didn't see any monsters in the surrounding demonic herbs. They had all retreated into the demon region. Gu Chansha instantly condensed his Sciention earth energy, turning it into a long thread. Like he was fishing, it seeped into the rumbling, demonic energy. When he was at the 14th transformation of Tao Realm, he was able to spread out his Sciention earth energy to cover 100 miles. Now that he was at the 16th transformation of reincarnation and his body had merged with the power of time and space, the toughness of his earth energy had undergone a drastic change. Now he formed his earth energy into a thread and headed deep into the demon region to fish. He could explore thousands of miles of land. The demon region was really dangerous, so of course, he wouldn't head down with his true body. It was just nice for him to fish here. Moreover, the Sciention earth energy thread contained his soul, so once he went down, he would be able to see everything clearly. ZZZ. The thread was like lightning that dove into the demon region at an extremely quick speed. In just a moment, the thread shook and a monster that was around the 7th or 8th transformation of Tao Realm was hooked up and tossed into the sky. In the air, the vine flashed, piercing through the monster and absorbing it cleanly. Not even a speck was left. Net. At that moment, Gu Chansha had used the earth energy thread to explore the situation in the demon region. However, he didn't head down with his true body. Instead, more threads appeared on his body and formed a huge net. He tossed it down like he was fishing, and in the blink of an eye, it disappeared into the rumbling demon region. The net formed from Sciention earth energy was connected to a thin thread. Actually, at this moment, Gu Chansha could split out a ball of Sciention earth energy to form an incarnation far away from his main body. But if he did that, he wouldn't be able to replenish his energy, and the incarnation would be easily destroyed in the demon region. If he cultivated to the level of Tao splitting soul separation, he would be able to separate 3 primordial spirits and cultivate in different places. After a few breaths, Gu Chansha shook the thread in his hand. His face was filled with joy. The thread was heavy, and it seemed like he had gained a lot from this net. He was like a fisherman who was working hard to catch fish. Indeed, he had gained a lot from this net. There were at least 3,000 fiend monsters struggling in the net, but it was useless. They were pulled out by Gu Chansha and tossed into the sky, where they were all absorbed by the touch of ghost god vines. Gu Chansha tossed the net again and again. With each net, he obtained quite a number of fiend monsters. There were at most a few thousand and at least a few hundred. However, these fiend monsters didn't have very high cultivation levels. True expert fiend monsters could dodge Gu Chinch's net. Thankfully, with so many fiend monsters, he had gained quite a lot. After 2 or 3 days, the number of fiend monsters below gradually decreased. It seemed like Gu Chansha had wiped them all out. It looks like the fiend monsters are a little afraid and have scattered. This way, I'll have to go down myself if I want to obtain fiend monsters. Gu Chansha pondered. But once I enter the demon region, it will be extremely dangerous. It will be difficult to take care of the touch of Ghost God outside. I shouldn't overreach myself. Over the past few days, the touch of Ghost God tree had been quiet. No one attacked. That Wu Dangkong is so patient. She has gone through the grand sacrifice of the heavenly abode, and her cultivation level is probably not to be underestimated. I can't do anything to her in a one-on-one fight. Gu Chansha deduced again. It's possible that she is breaking through to the next level. Once she does, she will attack me. Wu Dongkong's cultivation was really strong, and she had exceeded Jing Fanqing's. Before she entered the palace, she was an expert at the Tao Realm 19 transformation. After she entered the palace, her cultivation became even stronger, and she broke through many times. Gu Chansha knew that she was probably at the Tao Realm 21 transformation, an expert who could turn into the 5 elements. Chapter 325. As Wu Dangkong, he didn't want to build a base here and refine the heavenly demon tree. Once the heavenly demon tree was successfully cultivated, the scenic martial chamber of commerce would be completely destroyed. Even Gu Xingjian's national fete party and the second Prince Han Yanhui would be pressured to the point where they couldn't even breathe. A few years ago, the Celestial Designer Association was unfathomable in Gu Chinch's heart. Now, he felt like he had a chance to surpass them. He learned all the secret techniques in the Heavenly Demon Book and mastered the Great Massacre God technique, Son of Heaven God Sealing technique, 10,000 Star Flying Celestial technique, etc. His horizons were broadened, and he was comparable to many old antiques. There was also Zhuge, whose talent far exceeded the 2 old antiques of the Celestial Designer Association. With the wisdom of so many people, the calm Celestial Department's strength was increasing by the day. Right now, the biggest obstacle is actually the North Star Will, Ant-Hu, and a few other primordial divine beast wills in the Heavenly Demon Tome. They prevent our tranquil immortal department from successfully refining the sphere of the will of the common people. Without these few things, the sphere of the will of the common people would probably be almost condensed. Then, we would be able to activate the power of this treasure and connect with our side. In that case, who will we be afraid of? The common people's wish sphere was really strong and had the ability to slice open space. It could send a large amount of energy to the heavenly demon tree. The 2 treasures were connected to each other and formed a whole. When they circulated, they could suppress the demon region. But not now. Even with Zhuge strength, he couldn't suppress the North Star Will. Zhuge is about to reach the 20th Tao Realm transformation. He will have magic power. When that happens, his nature will change. Gu Chansha was able to keep track of the calm, Celestial Department's movements. Zhuge was constantly communicating with him. Back when Zhuge had become the true Lord of 7 Stars, his cultivation base had reached the 18th Tao Realm transformation. During the past half year, he had spent every day cultivating bitterly. He had reached the peak of the 19 transformation, the size manipulation transformation. At any moment, he would be able to combine his fleshly body, connate Empyrean energy, nascent divinity, and golden core, and transform them into magical power. After reaching this realm, Zhuge Ye's control over the life's wish sphere had increased once again. He could definitely suppress the North Star will within it, and even devour the souls of the primordial divine beasts. As time passed, Jin Suibwa, Lu Baiwe, and the fourth cultivation would also increase. It was especially so for the Sky Demon Book, Buzhou Palace, and Dragon Gate. They were supreme Dharma treasures that aided in cultivation. Now that the three of them were combined into one, coupled with the vermilion bird, black tortoise, and the water and fire origins, their cultivation speed was even faster than the 72 mystical gates of the immortal Tao. The tranquil immortal department had gradually become an invincible force that could move unhindered throughout the world. Zhuge Ye also passed on many of his experiences to Gu Chansha, so that Gu Chansha would not have to take many detours in his cultivation. It was especially so for the Tao splitting separation and Great Tao Golden Core. Gu Chansha felt no pressure at all. As long as he followed the prescribed order and accumulated strength, he could definitely succeed. In particular, the Sky Demon Tree could absorb many monsters and convert them into elixirs to replenish essence chi. Now that the Rainbow Demon Vine had transformed into the Ghostly God's Touch, it could condense the little Ghost God King elixir. It was one step further than the Rainbow Essence Fruit and was comparable to the Black-Yellow elixir. If it went one step further, it could condense the Great Ghost God King elixir, which could replenish one's dermic powers. In Gu Chincha's fief, Zhuge Ye, Lu Baiwe, the fourth, Jin Suibwa, Vermilion Bird, Black Tortoise, and Lu Yu were still constantly condensing the life's wish sphere. Behind Lu Yu and the others, various phenomena of spring rain, summer thunder, scorching fire, autumn frost, and winter snow appeared. These were the manifestations of their divine swords. The divine swords had been completely activated and awakened. These divine swords were left behind by the ancient gods who controlled the 5 seasons. They were treasures of heaven and earth and contained the essence of the laws. Now, the 5 of them were going to fuse the swords with their bodies. The 5 of you, gather your wills and fuse the 5 swords with your primordial spirits. Zhuge Ye said, these 5 swords have been refined by me using a secret technique and have returned to their original appearance. They are the condensation of the 5 seasons laws. As long as you fuse these 5 swords with your primordial spirits, you will be able to ensure that your primordial spirits are not destroyed. They might even have some incredible uses. Once you succeed, killing Golden Dan Great Tao experts will be as easy as flipping your palms. What? We are only at the 15 transformations of Tao Realm, and our heavenly eyes are suspended in the air. We can actually kill Golden Dan Great Tao experts? Lu Yu and the others were shocked. That's right. You are the reincarnations of the 5 seasons gods. Originally, you had many opportunities. Unfortunately, the heavenly Tao changed and was distorted by others. Originally, your life path should have been to serve the Son of Heaven, fight against the imperial court, overthrow the Yonko, and rebuild the world. Zhuge Ye's eyes were filled with boundless wisdom. Now, things have changed. You have become generals who protect the imperial court. That is the fate of your lives. Mr. Zhuge, if my guess is correct, you are the reincarnation of the Lord of 7 Stars. You should be supporting the Son of Heaven and fighting against the imperial court, right? Lu Baiwe seemed to understand something. Unfortunately, the emperor used his peerless cultivation base to reverse the heavenly Tao. He changed the course of the future and caused fate to change. Mister, didn't you serve the calming immortal bureau? Fate might not have changed. Zhuge frowned. The future is shrouded in mist. I can't see the future clearly. Originally, I should have been fighting the emperor and supporting the Son of Heaven. But as soon as I was born and obtained the 7 stars profundity, I thought about many things. I felt like I had to break some things. The Lord of 7 Stars isn't an eternal existence. She's just a puppet created by the heavenly Tao. I can't accept such a fate. Just what will happen in the future? Jin Suibwa felt an inexplicable fear. It's hard for me to divine. Only after the emperor comes out of seclusion will he be summoned. I hope he can receive some guidance. Zhuge Yu wanted to see the heavenly talisman emperor more than anything else. Although he was the Lord of Seven Stars, there were still many things he couldn't see clearly about the future. There were very few people in the world who could guide him. Even the three legendary celestial sovereigns didn't really matter to him. Let's activate the mysteries and let these 5 people and the sword of 5 seasons fuse with our nascent souls. That way, we'll benefit quite a bit, said the fourth. The common people's wish sphere slowly rotated, and a hazy light shot out, covering the 5 people. Their nascent souls immediately left their bodies and transformed into the 5 season swords. The 5 swords disintegrated into runes and images that merged with their nascent souls. As they wriggled, streams of energy flowed out of their blood vessels. These streams of energy were the divine blood of the god of 5 seasons. Jin Suebois, Lu Baiwei, Zhuge Yu, and the others were more or less stained with some of the divine blood. They immediately understood the profound mysteries of the 5 seasons. We'll leave a portion of the divine blood for King Chun. Zhuge Yu said, King Chun is currently suppressing the demon realm and has mastered the touch of the demon god. Those monsters won't dare come out. When the time comes, that place will become our base of operations. We'll produce more treasures, pills, armor, and weapons than the Buzhou Palace. It's only a matter of time before we surpass the Celestial Designer Institute. What a pity. If I could free myself, I could go to the demon realm and refine the heavenly demon tree with Chun Sha. That would be even better. Lu Baiwei sighed. Mr. Zhuge, how long do you think it will take us to suppress the Go Chan will and Ant Hu? Almost. After Zhuge Yu absorbed the divine blood of the 5 seasons, he seemed to have transformed again. His hands formed a complicated seal, and his body started to shrink. From 8 feet tall, he turned into a speck of dust. He was almost invisible. Suddenly, his body changed again. He was thousands of feet tall, like an ancient giant. He was as tall as a hill. Bang! In that instant, his fleshly body exploded, transforming into boundless vital energy. It was like a river of stars, a waterfall of stars, and a dragon of stars that swirled around his conferred land. At this moment, his Yuan Shun, Xiantian earth energy, and physical body had completely merged together to form a higher level of existence. That was magic power, brute force, earth energy, Yuan Shun, and magic power. Magic power was the combination of the first 3. Once magic power was cultivated, the person would be the law, and the law would be the person. Zhuge Yu broke through to the 20th transformation of the Tao realm, gathering and dispersing impermanence. He combined the 3 essences into one and formed magic power. This kind of improvement was the essence. Magic power was a step further than Yuanshan power. Activating magic treasures and refining magic tools were also different. For refining magic tools, essence blood was used to nourish the magic treasure. Earth energy was used to open the magic treasure's meridians and shape it. As for the Yuan Shun, it was used to give life to the magic treasure. Magic power was used to create laws for the magic treasure. Zhuge Yu was the Lord of 7 Stars. With the help of the divine blood of the 5 seasons, he finally made up for some of the shortcomings of his physical body and formed magic power. Once he succeeded, he immediately infused his comprehension and magic power into the life's wish sphere. The entire sphere immediately spun at an unparalleled speed. Thousands of divine lights shot out and bombarded Lu Yu and the others. As soon as the 5 of them were activated, they immediately refined the divine sword and fused with their primordial spirits. They were no longer separate from one another. Their Yuan Shun was not in human form, but in the form of the 5 seasons. Spring rain, summer thunder, blazing sun, autumn frost, winter snow. Their cultivation levels also broke through from the 15th transformation to the 16th transformation. Very good. Lu Baiwei was delighted. The calm celestial department's strength is rising. Although Mr. Zhuge is at the 20th transformation, his combat strength can definitely fight against experts of the 25th or 26th transformation. right? Almost. If I use the life's wish sphere, even antiques below the 30th transformation won't be able to kill me. Zhuge said, now we will activate the secret technique and open the core of the heavenly demon book. We will suppress the North Star will and Ant Who so that they can't move. Then, I will set up a plan to obtain the Peerless Heaven book. With this book as fuel, we can completely refine the North Star will and complete the life's wish. So, Mr. has such a plan. Jean Subwa said, I went against the Peerless Heavenly Book's decree and swallowed a 5-star profound mystery of my own accord. Even though my cultivation level rose explosively and my aptitude also increased, it was still the same as betraying the Peerless Heavenly Book. Chapter 3:26. The third volume of the Eternal Heaven book has been lost, but I suspect that it is deep within the chaotic space currents. Jean Suebwa said, our common people's wish ball has the ability to break through space. Right? Logically speaking, only when one reaches the 27-world seamless Tao realm can one break through space. Zhuge, you said, but now that the ball is formed so mysteriously, as long as we use up some of our powers, we can use the ability to open up space. The Heaven Demon Book itself is a godlike existence. We can slowly activate our instincts, and it will become our treasure. Lu Baiwa said. The few of them continued to refine it. At the same time, they used the ball to raise their own cultivation and to change the veins in the area. With the ball, they absorbed all sorts of void souls, spiritual energy, and celestial energy. The speed at which they absorbed increased by 1,000 times. Especially under Zhuge Ye's refinement, the 360 common people's god generals all reached the 15 or 16 Tao realm transformations. If a period of time passed, the common people's god general would even be able to reach the 18 great Tao realm golden core realm. If that was the case, Jingxian Division would have 360 golden core Tao experts, which would probably exceed many celestial sections. Moreover, this common people's god general was really mysterious. It was a combination of the Son of Heaven sealing technique and the Great Massacre god technique. It was also the strongest combination of Gu Chencha's common people's heaven mending technique and Lu Baiyue's common people's heaven reforming technique. The common people's god general, that was created from the merger of these two techniques, had more potential than the human fusion puppet. Moreover, this puppet had Zhuge Ye's calculations to make up for its weaknesses. In the Tranquil Immortal department, the current number 1 expert was undoubtedly Zhuge Ye. Even the Black Tortoise baby had to concede defeat to him. As for the Vermilion Bird baby, it hadn't grown up and was really weak now. Luckily, Lu Baiwe had broken through and cultivated to the 19 transformation, size manipulation. She was just a step away from the 20 transformation, gathering and scattering impermanence. As for Jean Suebwa, he was already at the 21 transformation, body 5 element. He was about to break through to the 22 transformation phenomenon of heaven and earth. However, he was no match for Zhuge Ye. As for the 4th, he had long since mastered the 18 transformations of the Great Path Jindan. However, because he was cultivating a secret technique, he had been stuck at this stage for a long time. He had yet to break through, but he was in no hurry. The 5 of you, quickly go and assist His Highness. Zhuge Ye looked at Lu Yu and the other 4. The 5 of you were supposed to lead the troops to patrol the borders of the feudal land to prevent the demonic barbarians from invading. However, there is no longer a need for that anymore. This ball of people's wish can completely stop the demonic and barbarian armies. Yes, Lu Yu and the other 4 were very pleased with themselves. They were about to try out their new divine abilities to kill the monsters. This is a concealment rune. You have to enter the Ghost God's touch tree without making a sound. Then, Lord Chun will be able to enter the demon realm and slaughter the fiends. Zhuge Ye moved his finger, and a stream of magic power condensed into a rune. This rune also contains my magic power, the divine blood of the 5 seasons, and the laws of the Vermilion Bird and Black Tortoise. Cultivate this rune in the tree. When the time comes, I will give those who are spying on it surprise. We will definitely not disappoint you. The 5 of them took the rune. With a slight movement, the hidden rune disappeared. With the divine blood of the 5 seasons, the laws of the vermilion bird and black tortoise, and your magic power, the evolution of the tree will probably accelerate, Lu Baiwe said. That's right. That is what I want. Zhuge was not happy at all. Instead, he seemed to have sensed something and was very worried. Since ancient times, when the world was in chaos, there were always internal troubles and then external troubles. The external troubles were the barbarians' invasion and the fiends' rampage. Now we have suppressed them, but the internal troubles are very serious. First, Gu Tanjian formed the National Fortune Party and roped in many princes. Then, Wu Dongkong's scenic Martial Chamber of Commerce contacted the aristocratic families and the Black Heaven Earth sect. Then, the second prince has returned, and the Hongyun Games have begun to stir up trouble. The aristocratic families, the immortal Dao, and the factions are all internal troubles. Pull one hair, and the whole body will be affected. Lu Baiwe said, "These people don't care about the big picture. For their own interests, they do not hesitate to harm the world. They must be eliminated. It's still impossible for us to eradicate them now. These people all have powerful forces supporting them. Gu Xingjin's backer is the Titan god and the inheritor of ancient witchcraft. Other than that, there's also an extremely mysterious force. And I have more or less deduced the background of the ancient black sand. It should be related to the 3 heavenly venerables," Zhuge said. The 3 heavenly venerables? These 3 undying old fellows will definitely interfere. But although they are the leaders of the immortal Tao mystic sects in name, each of the 72 mystic sects has their own little plans. They are simply obeying the orders of the 3 heavenly venerables. Jean Suibo laughed coldly. These 3 heavenly venerables are not good people. Of course, they have a great suppressive force. If they are really cultivating the second prince, it will be difficult for us to deal with them. It is indeed difficult to deal with. Even if I become a saint, I can do nothing to the 3 heavenly venerables. These 3 heavenly venerables are the teachers of the emperor. They have existed since the Great Desolate Era. They have comprehended the mysteries of heaven and earth, broken through the 3 realms and 5 elements, and have surpassed the 36 transformations. Zhuge said, "Their cultivation is even above that of a saint. Apart from the emperor who can suppress them, no one in the world can do anything to these 3 heavenly venerables." What about the Xingqiong clan? The 4th suddenly asked. If the divine prefecture's most vicious was at his peak, he could indeed defeat the 3 heavenly venerables. Unfortunately, he was split by someone. Even if he recovered, he could not return to his former state. And the 3 heavenly venerables are much stronger than they were. Zhuge said, if the divine prefecture's most vicious were to come out now, I'm afraid he would not be able to escape the fate of being suppressed. Moreover, after so many years, the vitality of the divine prefecture's most vicious has been greatly reduced. It is very likely that the 3 heavenly venerables came out to refine the remains of the divine prefecture's most vicious. That is also a supreme artifact that can shake the heavens and earth. The Jade Kingdom must be sealed, especially at the bottom of the sea. Lu Baiwe suddenly said, the head of the divine prefecture's most vicious is sealed below, suppressed under the Jade Mountains. Now that the seal has loosened, the most important thing is that Wu Dangkong may have obtained the heavenly sacrifice talisman. If she goes to the bottom of the sea and uses the jade melting spell to refine those jade mountains, then the divine prefecture's most vicious can be released. That is also within my consideration. Zhuge smiled. Right now, we are still a bit weak, so we need to borrow power. If we can obtain the head of the divine prefecture's most vicious, then we can use it to power the common people's wish sphere. The divine prefecture's most vicious seems to be indestructible. The 4th frowned. Rumor has it that back then, no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't kill him. In the end, he split his body and suppressed it in all directions. It doesn't matter if he can't be killed. Zhuge said, back then, It was the previous Lord of 7 Stars who schemed to split him. As the current Lord of 7 Stars, it is still possible for me to deal with his head. I have decided to obtain the Peerless Heavenly Tome and Eternal Heavenly Tome, fuse them into one, and refine the North Star will. I'm afraid I will have to borrow the power of the Divine Prefecture's most vicious to do this. With the fiendish aura of his head, we can completely subdue these things. It's up to you, sir. Lu Baiwei gazed at the common people's wish sphere. This treasure is destined to shake the world. It will become the most supreme of all treasures. Of course, the number 1 treasure of the wilderness is the Wilderness Dragon Gate, and the number 1 treasure of the Middle Ages is the Heavenly Sacrifice Talisman. In the future, I hope that the number 1 treasure will be our common people's wish sphere. Zhuge Ye's words shocked everyone. Who would have guessed that Zhuge Ye's ambitions were so great? To refine this treasure would be on par with the Wilderness Dragon Gate and the Heavenly Sacrifice Talisman. Right now, this plan was nothing more than a pipe dream. Bang! As they spoke, a talisman flew out from Lu Baiyue's body. Lu Chongxiao's image appeared on it, and he looked anxious. Baiwei, just now, the Emperor's imperial edict appeared on the table in the study. He wants us to prepare the ceremony and crown the second prince, Gu Xiansha, as crown prince. What? Lu Baiwei was shocked. What is he trying to do? Crown Wu Dankong as concubine Ming and the chief supervisor of the study. This is already a hidden danger to the imperial court. Now he wants to crown Gu Xiansha as crown prince. Isn't it obvious that he wants to give the world to this person? I don't understand what the emperor is trying to do. This is also the emperor's plan. You don't have to worry. Zhuge Ye seemed to have expected this move. The emperor is far-sighted, and he is playing with the heavens. This plan is to lure the snake out of its hole, and to see the changes in the heavenly Tao. Our Coming Xian Bureau is an independent yamen, and we have the imperial edict. Even if he becomes the crown prince, he can't do anything to us. But Gu Xiansha has evil intentions. If he becomes the crown prince, he will have a righteous reputation, and he will hinder our plans. I'm afraid it won't be easy. Jin Suiwa didn't look good either. It doesn't matter. Gu Xiansha is backed by the 3 celestial masters. If he becomes the crown prince, the 3 celestial masters will give him more support. They might even go against the rules. This way, the emperor will have an excuse to get rid of the 3 celestial masters, and he can use this opportunity to train us. Zhuge Ye, on the other hand, was very happy. Once the news came out, I knew the emperor's great talent and strategy. Originally, the ancient mystic sand was hidden among the people, stirring up trouble in the dark. Now it's out in the open. Also, Gu Xiansha is ambitious. He won't be satisfied with the current situation. How can he be manipulated by the 3 celestial masters? Believe it or not, the day he becomes the crown prince, he will come to us and cooperate with us to empty the 3 celestial masters. That's reasonable. Lu Baiwei thought about it carefully, and it was true. The emperor wants Gu Xiansha to be the crown prince because he wants to restrain Wu Dankong. The 2 of them are cooperating now, but it will be different when he becomes the crown prince. They will fight each other, which will cause the 3 celestial masters and the Wu family to fight. Even the Black Heaven and Earth sect will be involved. We can sit on a mountain and watch the tigers fight. Will they join forces to destroy us? The 4th asked. It's possible, but we are not dead. So I asked Bao Ming and Suiwa to fan the flames. Zhuge Ye said, for example, I told Gu Xiansha that Wu Dankong has the heaven sacrifice decree. What will happen? It's a good opportunity. Lu Baiwei clapped her hands. In this way, we will have more opportunities to fish in troubled waters. Of course. Zhuge Ye nodded. Your Highness and the princess, just watch me. At this time, in the grass of the bottomless sea of sin. Chapter 327. She was the chief minister and the regent of the imperial court. She would be informed of the news immediately. What? A decree to confer Gu Xiansha as the crown prince? Prepare for the ceremony? Wu Dankong looked at Gu Xiansha in disbelief. Gu Xiansha seemed to get the news too. She looked a little excited. What do you think? I'm right? The position of the crown prince must be mine. Gu Xiansha said, I'm the strongest among all the princes. Although 19th prince and the 4th are doing well, their cultivation is still much lower than mine. Really? I think Gu Chinch's cultivation is not weaker than yours. Wu Dongkong's heart was spinning rapidly. This thing happened so suddenly that she was still not mentally prepared. Although she did not have absolute power in the court, she had a righteous reputation. Now, there was a crown prince. What would happen? Your Highness, you won't object to me being the crown prince, will you? Gu Xiansha seemed to see through her mind. 19th prince's cultivation is indeed high, and he is somewhat powerful. But if I fight with him one-on-one, he will definitely die. What about Zhuge? Wu Dangkong asked. I can't do anything to Zhuge, but I can recruit him. Gu Xiansha was very confident. Why are you so confident? Do you really think you have power after becoming the crown prince? Wu Dangkong did not believe it at all. By the way, are we still here? You should go back to accept the congratulations of the officials. That's the only way. The key is to go back and become the crown prince. Gu Xiansha sighed. This time, the plan was flawless, but Gu Qiansha suddenly had a godlike power in his body. He refined a monster of 20 changes, causing us to fail at the last step. He won't be able to take advantage of us for a while. Let's go back and do the important things. It's still not too late to come back. Wu Dangkong was still thinking about how to suppress Gu Xiansha in the court, so that he would not take away her power. Whoosh! Gu Xiansha couldn't wait either. The position of crown prince was very important to him. It was a righteous title. If anything happened to Fu Fu the Great, he could immediately ascend the throne and control the world. This was more important than anything else. Wu Dangkong flew up with him and disappeared in an instant. I've gained some benefits in the bottomless sea of sin. At least I've captured demons and completed the great sacrifice of the heavenly abode. My cultivation has improved several times. Gu Xiansha wants to seize power from me. I won't let him go. Direct sacrifice? After he becomes the crown prince, he has a strong emperor's qi. It can be said that he has gathered the great luck of heaven and earth. If I sacrifice him in the future, I'm afraid my cultivation will be improved to a terrifying level, just like those old antiques. Wu Dangkong thought of many plans in a flash. After Wu Dangkong and Gu Xiansha left, Gu Qiansha secretly breathed a sigh of relief. They finally left. If they attacked me together, it would be difficult for me to resist, especially Wu Dangkong. He also has the power of time and space. I'm definitely not his match in a one-on-one fight. But now that Gu Xiansha has become the crown prince, things may not be easy in the future. He had received the news from Zhuge. Swish! He returned to his touch of ghost and God again. At this time, 5 figures appeared. They landed directly in the depths of the canopy and showed their bodies. When the 5 saw Gu Qiansha, they hurriedly knelt. Greetings, Your Highness. Very good. You have indeed merged your primordial spirits with the 5 seasons divine sword. At this moment, your primordial spirits are so strong that you can fight a Jindan Great Path cultivator. Any one of you alone can kill a Jindan Great Path cultivator. Gu Qiansha already knew everything that had happened in the feudal lands. Your Highness, this is the blood of the god of 5 seasons that Mr. Zhuge has refined. If Your Highness fuses it into your body, you will be able to master the profound meaning of the 5 seasons. Heaven and earth follow. The 5 of them took out a talisman. The talisman immediately transformed into Zhuge Ye's form. This was a manifestation of spiritual power. Zhuge Ye waved his hand, and 5 beams of light flew into Gu Qiansha's body. Suddenly, Gu Qiansha's sea of energy and sea of consciousness revealed the true meaning of the 5 seasons. Mr. Zhuge, you have used this spiritual power manifestation to oversee my touch of ghost and God. It can also strengthen the cultivation of this manifestation of yours. Gu Qiansha was overjoyed. He knew that Zhuge Ye had already cultivated to the 20 changes of gathering and dispersing. His spiritual power could form a manifestation at will, and he could move independently. This touch of ghost and God is not to be underestimated. It is the number one treasure among the sky demon secret techniques. After mastering it, thousands of transformations can be performed at will. I will oversee it and study the transformations of the primordial tree with your highness. Perhaps we can learn some of the secrets of the primordial divine body. Zhuge said, Your highness, please rest assured and go fight in the demon area. If that is the case, I am completely at ease. Gu Qinshan knew that with Lu Yu's group and Zhuge here, he could definitely go explore the demon area. If that is the case, I will go to the demon area to capture demons. In the midst of battle, I will truly refine the power of time and space and the bloodline of the 5 seasons divine body into my own body. As he spoke, his body flew up and directly rushed into the pitch-black cave in the middle of the grassland, entering the demon area. The moment he entered the underground cave, Gu Qinshan felt the power of time and space distort. It was vibrating with the power in his body. He knew that he had entered another space-time, and that was the demon area. He was very clear about the nearby demon area because he had already used his innate gang qi to form threads and a huge net to capture many demons. There were no longer any demons in the thousands of miles radius of the demon area. Some of the demons had retreated, while the weaker ones were all captured by Gu Qinshan. Therefore, Gu Qinshan wanted to go deeper to capture more demons. He landed in the demon area. The entire demon area was filled with demon qi. It was pitch black and gloomy. There was no light or brightness. If one were to live in this place for a long time, one's soul would feel extremely depressed. The demon area was also known as the underworld in ancient times. It was a bottomless place with no sunlight and no hope. Even demons hoped to come to the land of infinity to enjoy the beautiful scenery of the mountains and seas. Gu Qinshan looked at his surroundings. The ground was also covered with pitch-black stones. There was also roiling demon qi and a stinky swamp. The swamp's muddy water was like rotten flesh. There were many demon maggots wriggling in it, which was extremely disgusting. Even with his cultivation, he did not want to stay in the demon area for a moment longer. This place was even more smelly and filthy than a cesspool. If the Dharma treasures and flying swords of Taoist cultivators were to enter here, they would have their spirit qi wiped out and become useless. Their innate gang qi and essence spirit would also be tainted by the demonic nature and completely demonized, turning into fiends and monsters. Fortunately, Gu Qinshan's cultivation was profound, and the cultivation technique he cultivated was the strongest in the world. He could even refine demon qi and turn it into power. Heaven and earth change, sun and moon divine radiance. Demons become ghosts, evil ghosts move. Gu Qinshan's hands moved, activating his essence spirit and gang qi. They wriggled continuously, forming a vortex behind him. The vortex absorbed the demonic energy. The demonic energy was compressed within the vortex and scattered. Then it turned into runes. These runes formed a black sun that hung behind Gu Qinshan's head. This was an unparalleled demon refinement secret art. It was recorded in the Maha Suppression Sutra, and it was an unparalleled method to make use of hell's demonic qi. This art was called the Maha Black Sun art, using one's essence spirit to absorb demon qi and refine it into a black sun. After mastering it, the black sun could hang behind one's head and release demon fire that could incinerate all things. It could also be turned into demonic treasures that could collect souls and turn them into demon gods. The Maha Black Sun art was a supreme art created by the king of all gods, the king of hell, God Mahakasyapa. Of course, in the Maha Suppression Sutra that Gu Qinshan had obtained, this art was incomplete. However, with his supreme wisdom, Gu Qinshan had deduced some of the variations that could be used to restrain demon qi. As he walked through the devil domain, the Maha Black Sun behind his head spun like a whale sucking in water. The more demon qi he absorbed, the more demon qi he absorbed. In the end, the Maha Suppression Sutra wrapped around his body, burning with demon fire. He no longer looked human, but an expert among devils. With the Maha Black Sun, He didn't need to fear the corrosion of demon chi in the devil domain. All the demon chi became nourishment for the Maha Black Sunday. Gu Chincha's cultivation base was extremely profound. He was proficient in the primeval devil Dao, primeval demon Dao, primeval immortal Dao, and primeval human Dao. When combined, he was virtually invincible in the same realm. In the blink of an eye, he left the place where the seal was broken and went deeper into the devil domain. In the devil domain, in addition to the rancid swamps, there were, of course, demonic herbs, demonic trees, demonic mountains, and even castles built by monsters. Among the monsters, there was no lack of wisdom. Naturally, they would gather a group of demons and use their means to command the demon soldiers and generals. After flying for tens of thousands of miles, Gu Chansha suddenly found a huge military fortress of monsters in front of him. Although the military fortress was not as majestic as the Great Stone Wall, it was as high as a mountain and covered an area of hundreds of miles. It was like a huge steel monster entrenched in the devil domain. The densely packed monsters were like ants coming and going in an orderly manner. This military fortress was actually made of nether iron. The demon chi was soaring. The two monsters that retreated from the bottomless sea of sin could be vaguely seen in it. When Gu Chansha was refining the heavenly demon tree, he sensed that there were 3 monster leaders in the bottomless sea of sin. One of them was at the 20th transformation realm, and the other 2 were at the 21st and 22nd transformation realm. He had refined the monster at the 20th transformation realm, but the other 2 stronger ones had retreated. It was obvious that the stronger the monsters were, the more cautious they were. The monsters probably built a military fortress here to gather troops and prepare to break the seal and occupy the bottomless sea of sin. Then they would occupy the Sin province. Gu Qinshan knew at a glance. He was determined to destroy this military fortress and capture all the monsters to feed the touch of the ghostly god. He hoped that it could evolve into a heavenly demon tree as soon as possible. If he could capture experts at the 21st or 22nd transformation realm and let the touch of the ghostly god absorb them, it might really be possible to evolve the heavenly demon tree quickly. Chapter 328. There are millions of fiend monsters in this stronghold. In addition, there seems to be an endless stream of fiend monsters coming from behind the stronghold. They're building some sort of array. Gu Qinsha secretly observed. In the infernal domain, fiend monsters lived in harsh conditions. Only by building arrays and buildings could they escape the stinking swamp and find a better living environment. To catch bandits, first catch the king. I'll capture the 2 fiend monster leaders and refine them first, or slowly devour the fiend monsters here. Gu Qinsha calculated. Those 2 leaders are at the 21st transformation of the 5 elements. I can block them, but the 22nd transformation fiend monsters aren't their match. The heavenly manifestations of heaven and earth are very difficult to deal with. It seems I'll have to first devour the other fiend monsters and cultivate the Mahakasaipa Black Sunday. Once he cultivated the Mahakasaipa Black Sun to greater success, his demonic flames would surge to the heavens. In the future, there would be endless transformations. Furthermore, after absorbing enough fiend monsters, the Black Sun would transform into many fiend gods that could be absorbed by the heavenly demon tree. Boundless demonic energy was absorbed by the Mahakasaipa Black Sunday whoosh. Gu Chansha circulated his mystic art, hiding himself within the Mahakasaipa Black Sunday. He then activated the Sun-Moon Transformation's mystic art, imitating the aura of the fiend monsters. He circled around the nether iron stronghold and began dealing with the fiend monsters behind. There were too many fiend monsters and experts within the stronghold. If he fell inside, Gu Qinsha might die. It was better to devour the fiend monsters and advance again. He landed on the ground and saw groups of ox-headed fiend monsters moving nether iron ores. These nether iron ores were transported near the nether iron stronghold and refined into pure nether iron to forge weapons and armor. At the same time, they were molded into modules for the grand array. Of course, other than nether iron ores, there was also nether jade. If these materials were obtained by cultivators, they would be first-rate materials for refining immortal artifacts after expelling their demonic energy. It had to be known that nether iron was infused with demonic energy from the infernal domain. It was extremely pure. It seems these fiend monsters have been building the array for a long time to activate some sort of power in an attempt to expand the seal. Gu Qinsha observed for a moment. It seems I need to destroy the changes here and do my best to disrupt the fiend monster's plans. He hid in the underbrush. Not far away, there was a group of ox-headed devils, all of them strong and powerful. There were about 3,000 of them, and they were transporting nether iron ores. Gu Qinsha's figure flashed and turned into a black dragon. In the blink of an eye, these ox-headed devils were all turned into ashes. Their soul and blood essence were all absorbed by the black Mahanata Sunday. The Mahakasyapa black sun absorbed the souls of the 3,000 devils. As it wriggled, it formed a black lotus the size of a soybean, upon which sat a devil god the size of a flea. Even though this demonic god was as small as a flea, it was extremely lifelike. It had 3 heads and 6 arms, and its aura was extraordinary. It sat within the black lotus and continuously chanted demonic incantations. The demon god in the black Mahasun was just a demon soul, not a puppet. It was still far inferior to the heavenly demon tree. Therefore, Gu Qinsha's cultivation of the black Mahasun was only temporary. Once he succeeded, he would have to feed it to the heavenly demon tree. As the flea devil god chanted, the power of the black Mahasun grew stronger and stronger, and the black flames became purer. This devil curse was called the divine Mahakasyapa mantra, and this flea-sized devil god was the embryonic form of divine, general Mahakasyapa. The meaning of Mahakasyapa was grand and grand. The divine Mahakasyapa mantra's effect was to increase the power of all magical arts. For example, the Black Mahasun's attack used demonic flames to incinerate everything. With the divine Mahakasyapa mantra's support, the demonic flames would be even stronger. When the divine Mahakasyapa mantra reached its peak, it might even be comparable to the Son of Heaven's God-sealing art. After all, the divine Mahakasyapa was the king of myriad gods, the king of hell. This god's power was far above that of the other gods, so the techniques he created were naturally extremely profound. Unfortunately, Gu Qinsha had only obtained less than 1,000th of the Maha prison suppression scripture. He hadn't learned many of the devil Tao's divine arts. Otherwise, he would be like a fish in water in the devil realm, and no one would be able to do anything to him. These nether iron ores are good stuff, but I can't collect them now. Forget it. Once I take over this place, the nether iron ores will be mine. I can use the ghost god touch to absorb them. Gu Qinsha killed this small group of 3,000 minotaurs, and the Black Mahasun's power was even greater. He targeted another group. This group was dozens of miles away, and they had built a huge smelting furnace that was like bamboo shoots after a rain. These devils threw nether iron ores and nether jade ores into the smelting furnace and constantly smelted them. In the end, they turned into a liquid substance that had the characteristics of both jade and steel. The method of combining them was somewhat similar to human refining methods. When humans refined armors and weapons, they usually used a combination of gold, iron, and jade. Gold and iron's characteristics were tyrannical, tough, and malleable. Jade's characteristics were gentle and could gather spiritual energy. The combination of gold and jade was a match made in heaven. This was also the case for the so-called golden jade. Immortal refining pills was also the same. Most of the materials needed to refine pills were gold powder and jade shavings. They were mixed together, smelted in the furnace, and supplemented with all kinds of plants. Gold was indestructible, and jade was gentle. When a nether iron ores and nether jades merged together, the liquid was like mercury. It gathered into a river that flowed on the ground in the shape of a dragon. Under the pressure of the demon generals and demon commanders, many demons dripped their blood into the river. Some were even killed by the generals and commanders, and their corpses were tossed into the rivers, allowing their blood and souls to merge with the rivers. These rivers flowed into the Nether Iron Fortress. Guchen Shah was secretly alarmed. These countless fiend monsters were constantly forging. In the end, they would definitely form an earth-shattering grand array. He could sense that every once in a while, the Nether Iron Fortress would become a little stronger. If he charged in now, he would probably be locked up. Kill. He activated it once more and charged into a group of 3 to 5,000 Nether Armor Great Demons. The leader of this group was a Tao Realm 7 transformation stage existence who had cultivated Sciention astral energy. If he left the demon region and entered the human world, he would definitely cause a bloodbath. Unfortunately, Guchen Shah wouldn't give the Nether Armor Great Demon a chance. His body was wrapped in the Black Maha Sun, and he suddenly charged out, turning the demon into dust in one move. Then, within the Black Maha Sun, a flea-sized demon god and a black lotus were born. Then, he controlled the Black Maha Sun to sweep this group. In just 10 breaths, thousands of demons died in his hands. A third demon god was born in the Black Maha Sunday. The Maha Mantra became louder and louder. With the buff of this mantra, the demon flames could even vaporize the iron ores the moment they touched it. How long? Just as Guchen Shah was about to go on a killing spree, an extremely powerful wave of demon chi suddenly erupted from the Nether Iron Fortress in the distance. Within the demon chi was the vague image of a monster clawing at him. The claw was a few acres wide. The moment it clawed at him, even though he was hundreds of miles away, Guchen Shah felt like his essence, energy, and soul were about to be sucked away. If not for the fact that his realm had increased by a lot, and he was already at the Tao Realm 16 transformation stage, it would have been tough for him to take it. Impressive. He's alerted the experts in the Nether Metal Stronghold. The power of this expert has already surpassed the 21 transformations of the 5 elements. He's reached the 22 transformations, the lawful manifestations of heaven and earth. Guchen Shah knew that he couldn't block this attack. Shwa. He used his movement technique, and the earth energy in his body surged. In an instant, he was hundreds of miles away. Just as he escaped, the place where he was originally at turned into a pitch-black, chaotic light, and everything was shattered. If he hadn't escaped so quickly, he would have been killed by that strike. But before he could stabilize himself, the demonic claw was already above his head. The demonic energy locked onto his soul and didn't give him a chance to escape. The demonic energy was extremely thick, and the demonic claw contained limitless power. The main body hadn't even landed, and the pressure was enough to crush mountains. Light of the sun and moon. Guchen's body flashed once more, and he was hundreds of miles away. But he didn't stop. The demonic claw followed him once more, and its speed wasn't much slower than his. In just a few breaths, he changed his movement technique and escaped dozens of times. But each time, the demonic claw followed behind him and grabbed him by a hair's breadth. I can't go on like this. He has cultivated spiritual power, and if we compete in endurance, I definitely won't be his match. If I continue to escape, my Sciention Earth energy and Yuan Shun power will be used up, and I will be killed. Guchen Shah calculated in his heart and was prepared to fight back. But just as he was about to fight back, the demonic claw didn't grab him. Instead, it transformed and took on a human form. This human form was that of a youth with a dark golden crown on his head. He was dressed in luxurious robes and looked like a disciple of a rich and powerful clan. No one would have thought that he was a peerless devil lord from the devil region. He sent out a mental fluctuation. The 19th prince of the heavenly talisman emperor is indeed extraordinary. Your cultivation is only at the 16th transformation. Even I, at the 22nd transformation, can't suppress you. But you're truly gutsy to dare to enter so deep into the devil region. Which devil king are you? Guchen Shah saw the demonic chi exuding from this person and knew that he wasn't a match for him. He was thinking of countermeasures and even wanted to devour this devil instead. Don't think of escaping. I've already cultivated heavenly manifestations and can use my spiritual power to manifest all living things in heaven and earth. Given your cultivation base, you won't be able to deal with me." The devil didn't answer Gu Chencha's question and continued, "However, I don't want to kill you. I want to make a deal with you." "How about it?" "What deal?" Gu Chencha frowned. Seems like this devil wasn't simple. Chapter 329. This phenomenon of heaven and earth actually want to talk to him about helping him. This shocked Gu Chencha. Demons killed people and were really cruel. Even if one's cultivation was high, it was the same. This was something that the demon gave them. The fiend in front of him spoke with fervor and assurance, as if it was serious and not playing around. Gu Chencha knew that demons couldn't be trusted, but he had to fight a battle of wits and strength. He hoped that he would be able to gain an advantage. "Since you even know my identity, then you should know that demons and humans are enemies. We won't attack you, but over the millions of years, demons have attacked humans and caused so many deaths. Now, you actually want to say that you want to help me achieve dominance. Do you think I will believe you?" Gu Chencha looked at the demon coldly. "It is simple. You have no choice." The demon's mental energy was really weird. "If you don't agree, then you will die and become my sacrifice. If you agree, you will immediately obtain my support and your strength will increase by 1,000 times. You can't kill me. I knew that there was you and a 21 transformation old demon in this demon region. Would I have come down without any preparation?" Gu Chencha chuckled. "Your other comrade has cultivated to the 20th transformation and possesses immense magical power. He burrowed into my sea of energy and my sea of consciousness in an attempt to refine me. Unfortunately, I managed to refine him." When he heard this, the demon's expression became a little ugly. "Skeleton Demon Emperor is useless. So what if he was refined by you? I, the Skeleton Ash Devil Emperor, am several times stronger than him. So this fellow is called Skeleton Demon Emperor." Gu Chencha thought to himself. He probed, "Since you were so confident in capturing me, then do you know where the faction behind me is? I have a top expert behind me. If he comes, you won't be able to block him. You have built a faction called Calming Celestial Division. The strongest person is the Lord of 7 Stars. He's called Jugaya." Skeleton Demon Emperor said, "His cultivation is around 19 transformations. Or maybe he has used the Heaven Monster Book and Bujo Palace to reach 20 transformations. Truthfully, I am not his match, but he doesn't dare to come to the demon region. After he comes, naturally, demon emperors and demon gods will deal with him." As the Lord of 7 Stars, Zhuge latent talent was at the peak of the saint level, twice that of Fa Wuxian. That was indeed terrifying. Even at the Tao realm 14 transformations, he would be able to fight against experts at the 20 transformations. At the very least, at the same realm, Gu Chencha wasn't Fa Wuxian's match. At least, at the same realm, Gu Chencha wasn't Fa Wuxian's match. Gu Chencha knew that Zhuge had mastered the 20 changes: concentration, dispersion, impermanence, and mana. He had many tricks up his sleeves. The touch of Ghost and God Outside was guarded by his mana incarnation, Lu Yu, and the other 4 people. Moreover, Zhuge must have calculated his situation and would not put him in danger. "Does that mean that I have no choice?" Gu Chencha said, "But what benefits do you want?" "Very simple. Once you obtain the throne, you will hold the decree and make me a true god." Skeleton Demon Emperor said his thoughts. In ancient times, there were demons who were made true gods. I'm not the first, right? The Skull Ash Demon Emperor voiced out his thoughts. In ancient times, there were demons who were conferred the title of true god. I'm not the first one, right? You are really ambitious. Gu Chencha thought about it. If a demon was made a true god, not only would his strength increase, but he would also obtain a god throne and enjoy tens of thousands of years of lifespan. Even if the Skeleton Demon Emperor cultivated the 22 transformations, he would only be able to live for 2,000 years. The 18 transformations were the Great Tao Golden Core. After one cultivated it, one would have 1,000 years of lifespan. The 19 transformations wouldn't increase one's lifespan, but when one reached the 20, one's flesh and blood would merge into one and turn into spiritual power. That would increase one's lifespan to around 2,000 years. Then, the 21 and 22 transformations wouldn't have any fundamental changes. This was because they were just an evolution of spiritual power, so the lifespan wouldn't increase by much. But even if one cultivated to the 30 transformations, one would only have 3,000 to 5,000 years of lifespan. It was impossible to increase it further. The further one went, the harder it would be to increase one's lifespan. Even if one increased it by 1 year, one would have to spend a lot of effort. The laws of heaven and earth were like that. For normal people, even if the Yama King told them to die, who would be able to keep them alive? It was the same for celestial cultivators. Those at the 30 transformations were the same as gods. But those who weren't made could only live for 5,000 years. But if they would live for 30,000 to 50,000 years. At the same 30 transformations, maybe the difference in combat strength wasn't huge, but the difference in lifespan was huge. For cultivators, combat strength wasn't the most important thing. The most important thing was to live long. The decree hasn't appeared, and you think that I will definitely be able to get it? Gu Chunsha asked. The talisman has already appeared. Skull Ash Demon Emperor said, you just don't know about it. If you agree to work with me, then you will know where it is. What? Gu Chunsha acted like he was shocked. Actually, he knew where the talisman was. The talisman has appeared. Right, but I won't tell you now. The Skull Ash Devil Monarch said, furthermore, I will also impart the superior divine arts of the Maha Suppression Scripture to you. The scripture that you have learned is too shallow and isn't a superior divine art. I know at least 1/3 of the essence of the Hellshaker Scripture. Aren't you going to condense the heavenly demon tree outside? I can bring you to kill the demons of the other tribes to increase your speed. How about that? In the demon region, there were all sorts of tribes, and the battles were much more complicated than that of humans. This Skull Ash Demon Emperor wanted to use Gu Chincha's strength to wipe out the other tribes and kill the evil demons. Since that is the case, then it seems like I can do it. Gu Chincha thought about it. Working with this Skull Ash Demon Emperor was like asking a tiger for its skin, but he could still make use of this demon. With his help, it would be much easier to kill the other demon races here. If he rejected this demon now and had to attack him right away, it wouldn't be worth it. Why? What do you think? The Skull Ash Demon Emperor could tell that Gu Chunsha was a little tempted. He continued to urge, your Maha Hell Suppression Scripture isn't complete. I will teach you the true Maha Hell Suppression Scripture. You can use it to collect demonic souls and condense the Heaven Monster Tree. How about that? Since the Skull Ash Demon Emperor said so, I am also a little tempted. Let's see how sincere we are in our cooperation. How about this? Let me cultivate the many techniques in the Maha Hell Suppression Scripture, and I will assist you to kill the demon races that are against you and strengthen your tribe. This can be considered an alliance. How about using this alliance to see how sincere we are? Gu Chunsha immediately thought of a plan that could satisfy both sides. That works too. The Skull Ash Demon Emperor's eyes turned gloomy. It was unknown what vicious scheme he was thinking of. After a while, he nodded and sent a thought over. Gu Chunsha carefully accepted it and saw many cultivation techniques in his sea of consciousness. They were indeed the profundities of the Maha Hell Suppression Scripture. However, the content was 100 times more than what he had obtained from Yiming. Many of the scripture's profundities were much deeper, and there were all sorts of strange techniques and methods to refine Dharma treasures. This was the true Demon Tao, Hell Tao, and Purgatory Tao. Gu Chunsha pondered carefully and absorbed everything into his sea of consciousness. He let his 100,000 selves calculate and evolve. In just a few breaths' time, he had already comprehended many things. Many white spots appeared in the black sun behind his head. These white spots seemed to be condensing into demonic gods. As for the 3 demonic gods that were the size of fleas, they were originally black. Now, they had turned white and were filled with a sacred aura. Originally, the Maha Hell Suppression Scripture was black flames and black demonic gods. But now, the Maha Hell Suppression Scripture was black flames and white demonic gods. It was somewhat similar to the black and white Taiji diagram. Yin and Yang changed. Extreme Yin gave birth to Yang, and extreme Yang gave birth to Yin. The cycle of Yin and Yang didn't belong to the demon Tao. It was a true supreme technique that merged good and evil in ancient times. Although God Maha was the king of evil gods, he wasn't an evil god. On the contrary, he was an existence that suppressed hell and could be called a supreme god. This god was split into good and evil. In legends, he was the god of creation and destruction. He was the god of extreme evil and also the god of mercy. He had two personalities. The techniques he created weren't evil. Gu Chansha obtained all sorts of knowledge from the Maha Hell Suppression Scripture. He combined them with the Heaven Demon Book's secret techniques and obtained a lot of experience. His common people heaven mending technique was nourished by this knowledge and deduced many things. This is the true Maha Hell Suppression Scripture. Seeing the flea-sized demonic gods turn white in Gu Chincha's Maha Hell Suppression Scripture and the soybean-sized black lotus turn white, he knew that Gu Chansha had grasped the essence. Skeleton Ash Demon Emperor was shocked. Let's go. I have passed you the true Maha Hell Suppression Scripture. That means that we have completed our agreement. Now, it depends on your sincerity to wipe out the tribe that is going against me. To catch bandits, first catch the leader. Now, we can work together to kill the leader of that tribe. Gu Chansha asked, which tribe is it? It is the Skeleton Demon Emperor that is with me. Skeleton Ash Demon Emperor pointed at the giant fortress in the distance. Out of the three of us, I am the leader. The rest are Skeleton Ding and Skeleton C. You killed and refined Skeleton C, but Skeleton Ding is still in the fortress. He also leads many tribes. We are all under the command of the Skull Black Demon Emperor, but the three of us are always fighting each other openly and secretly, trying to find an opportunity to swallow each other up. This time, you have given me a great opportunity. So that is the case. Gu Chansha said, then, let's not waste time. Let's head up and kill Skeleton Ding. How about we split its essence energy? Chapter 330. Skull Ash Demon Emperor's cultivation was at Tao Realm Transformation 22, Astronomical Phenomenon. Skull Demon Emperor's cultivation was at Tao Realm Transformation 21, 5-element body transformation. One more realm made a huge difference. Logically speaking, Skull Ash Demon Emperor didn't need Gu Chincha's help to suppress Skull Demon Emperor. However, although the Skeleton Demon Emperor was one realm lower than Skeleton Ash, he had 72 divine General Maha puppets, which were refined from the corpses of ancient immortals that had fallen in the Devil Domain. They were extremely powerful, and each divine General Maha corresponded to an Earth Fiend esoteric meaning. The 72 divine General Maha were 72 Earth Fiends, and when combined, they formed a great formation that was even more powerful than the formation itself. Gu Chansha knew about the strength of puppets. When a cultivator couldn't raise his realm, the best way was to refine puppets. His Common People's God General was the same. If he had 360 Common People's God Generals by his side, he would be confident in fighting Skull Ash Demon Emperor. The ancient immortals had perished in the infernal domain, and their corpses were obtained by demons. Using them as the foundation, they refined divine General Maha into an extremely powerful divine General Maha. It was no wonder that even the Skull Ash Demon Emperor didn't dare to rashly suppress it. This was news that Gu Chansha had just gotten from Skull Ash Demon Emperor. He planned before he acted, so naturally, he had to consider the details. Now, you and I will suppress him. Since you can even refine Skull Demon Emperor, then your combat strength can compare to Tao Realm Transformation 21, 5-element body transformation. You might even be stronger than him. Skull Ash Demon Emperor said, "You deal with his main body. I will use my techniques to collect his 72 god, General Maha. That will work." Of course, Gu Chansha wouldn't believe Skull Ash Demon Emperor. Of course, he wouldn't explode either. He also wanted to test out his own techniques. So, the two of them flew into the Dark Iron Fortress. On the other hand, Gu Chansha was wrapped in the skeleton Ash Devil Emperor's demonic cloud. Scolding. The Skull Ash Devil Emperor descended and landed beside an altar. The altar was also made of underworld iron and underworld jade, and there were many runes carved on it. On top of that sat a demon. He was also a young man with a sinister look on his face. Around him, 72 other young men who looked exactly like him could be seen sitting in the same position as the Earth Fiends. Skeleton Ash, what's wrong? You caught him? Ding Kuei opened his eyes when he saw the ball of Devil Chi. This man is the 19th prince of the Heavenly Talisman Emperor. To think that he could even refine a skeleton. What secrets does he have exactly? We're going to offer him to Demon Emperor Skeleton Black. Ku Ding. There are a few Demon Emperors under Demon Emperor Ku Xian's command, and they have always been at odds with us. Skeleton Ash spoke in a sinister voice. For example, Skeleton Flame, Skeleton End, and Skeleton Heart. If we refine this kid, not only will you be able to reach the same realm as me, you might even be able to evolve the 72 Maha Generals into 36 Heavenly Dipper Generals. This way, the 36 Heavenly Dipper Generals and 72 Earthly Fiends will be able to fuse together and form the Maha Prison Suppression Array. Why don't you refine it yourself and want to cooperate with me? Skeleton Ding asked. If I could refine it myself, then I wouldn't have found you. Skeleton Ash said, think about it. This kid is able to use his Tao Realm 16 transformation cultivation to refine a Tao Realm 20 transformation skeleton. What kind of ability is that? His body contains supreme power. Maybe I can only use your 72 Maha Generals to wipe him out. That's true. This kid is really terrifying. Logically speaking, the difference between 16 and 20 transformations is huge, and Skeleton Ash should have been able to wipe him out right away. But he actually refined it instead. Ku Ding said, then let's work together to refine this kid and split his essence energy and that weird power in his body. That's right. Skeleton Ash activated the demonic luck and wrapped Gu Chansha within. Gu Chansha clashed within, but he couldn't get out at all. So amazing. If you hadn't cultivated the astronomical phenomenon, you probably wouldn't have been able to trap him. Ku Ding was filled with fear and excitement. Since that is the case, then let's refine it. Okay. Skeleton Ash returned to the other altar and activated the demonic flames. Like a fire dragon, it flew towards Gu Chansha. At that moment, Ku Ding's body moved. The 72 Maha Generals behind him moved and chanted the Maha Curse. They buffed the demonic flames, and instantly, they became several times stronger. This is the moment. Gu Chansha was shocked. Not only did the demonic flames not burn him, but they were also a huge supplement. He pushed with his hands and turned into a streak of light that struck towards Ku Ding on the altar. At the same time, Skeleton Ash suddenly made a move. A divine light appeared behind him. This divine light flowed with vibrant colors and split into 72 rays. They landed on the heads of the 72 Maha Kasayapa and condensed into halos. The 72 divine generals Maha immediately froze. Skeleton Ash, you actually schemed against me. You have been eyeing my 72 Maha generals covetously for a long time. So, you cultivated this great ascension treasure, retrieving devil light, just for this moment? Ku Ding was shocked. He suddenly dispersed his dermic power, wanting to urge the 72 Maha generals to escape. But at that moment, Gu Chansha charged over. He threw a punch as soon as he attacked. The punch was slow like a turtle, but it had the power to swallow the world, contain the universe, save the common people, and exterminate all devils. Gu Chansha's physical body, stellar energy, and Yuan Shun merged together and circulated within his body. Strong power gathered at one point and exploded with strong combat power. If it was an expert of the same realm, a physical battle would be useless at this time because the physical body was too weak. But Gu Qinsha was different. His Sun Moon Dragon physique was the strongest in the world. More importantly, Wu Dangkong had activated the great sacrifice of the heavenly abode and borrowed the power of the heavenly Tao to forcefully fuse the power of time and space with his physical body, causing his meridians, flesh, and acupoints to all be fused with the power of time and space. He had also devoured the skeleton demon emperor of the 20 transformations and fused a huge amount of magic power into his body. Apart from that, when Gu Qinsha had formed a blood bond with the heavenly demon tree, he had used the mysteries of the tree to comprehend the primordial chaos sacred body. In this way, Gu Qinsha's body was almost an indestructible magic treasure. He had also comprehended his own combat technique. His physical body would work with stellar energy and Yuan Shun to attack at close range. This fist was the combination of the common people heaven mending technique and the common people heaven reforming technique. He suddenly attacked. His Xiantian stellar energy wrapped around his body, and his Yuan Shun sat in his consciousness. With extreme speed, he arrived beside Skeleton Ding. If he released his Xiantian stellar energy now, it could cover hundreds of miles, even thousands of miles, forming a huge energy shield. One could see how strong the Xiantian stellar energy was. But he did not release it now. Instead, he tried his best to compress it and spin it 3 inches around his body. This created an extremely strong force that propelled his physical body to fly at high speeds. If such a huge amount of stellar energy was compressed into a thin 3 inches, how fast would his speed be? This was the combat technique that Gu Qinsha had figured out. It used the physical body to attack and stellar energy to support it. Normal cultivators use stellar energy to attack at this realm. For example, Gu Qinsha used stellar energy to form the Xuanwu, demon god, star sovereign, or nebula to attack. But this way, he had many methods. The weakness was that it was not strong enough and could not kill in one blow. Gu Qinsha thought about many techniques and came up with a combat technique based on the state of his body. Pung! That fist ripped apart layers of seals. Numerous defensive formations were ripped apart, and no one was able to block it at all. Gu Qinsha had already arrived in front of Skeleton Ding, and his fist landed on his body. The strong fist power exploded and instantly turned Skeleton Ding into 5 streaks of stellar energy. There was a ball of flame, a ball of green energy, a ball of water energy, a ball of metal energy, and a ball of earth energy. This was the 5-element spiritual energy. This was the strength of the Tao realm, 21 transformation, and the 5-element transformation. Gu Qinsha's sure kill punch could only scatter the stellar energy and turn it into the 5 elements. As long as there was a slight delay, the 5 elements would form once more and Skeleton Ding would recover. He wouldn't be injured at all. Heaven and earth change, sun and moon seal. Gu Qinsha's hands continuously changed dermic formulations, immediately setting up layers of seals on the 5 blobs of essence chi. But the 5 balls of stellar energy swelled up and were about to explode the seals. With Gu Qinsha's cultivation, he wasn't able to seal Skeleton Ding at all. But shortly after, he sucked in and swallowed the 5 balls of stellar energy into his dantian while they were breaking the seals. In the depths of his dantian was a grotto heaven the size of a house. It was formed by the Heaven Path Grotto Heaven ritual. He was sucking Skeleton Ding into the grotto heaven. That grotto heaven was much stronger than normal space treasures. Other space treasures, even Dragon Gate, didn't have their own space power but was created by a god realm expert. So when others got it, they could only use it to store items. The grotto heaven produced by the rite of the heavenly way was the fusion of the power of time and space with the primordial spirit and physical body of the person offering the sacrifice, allowing the person to use the power of the grotto heaven. It was not a simple storage space. This was why the grotto heaven ritual was so amazing. The heaven talisman ritual allowed Gu Tianzi to suppress many demon gods. It allowed him to have all sorts of unbelievable powers. Gu Qinsha's own Empyrean energy and nascent divinity couldn't suppress Skeleton Ding at all. He had taken the opportunity to trap Skeleton Ding in the depths of his Dantian sea of energy. Skeleton Ding wouldn't be able to escape at all, unless he reached the 27th transformation of the Tao realm, which would allow him to tear open space and escape. If it was a space treasure, then after Gu Chunsha kept Skeleton Ding in, Skeleton Ding could use its own powers to find the flaws in Gu Chinch's primordial spirit and the treasure. Then, it could refine the treasure and steal it. But this space wasn't a treasure, but a part of Gu Chinch's body. One could say that it was Gu Chinsha himself, and Skeleton Ding couldn't steal it all. Chapter 331. The Skull Ash Demon Emperor didn't expect Gu Chansha to be so strong. He sealed the Skull Ash Demon Emperor right away, and he himself wasn't even able to collect the 72 Maha-God generals. Thus, evil thoughts rose up in him. He wanted to attack Gu Chansha first, and then capture him as well. He was an expert at the Tao Realm 22 transformation technique phenomenon of heaven and earth. When he attacked, his palm was extremely quick. The demonic palm covered the sky and ripped apart the heaven and earth. In the blink of an eye, it arrived in front of Gu Chunsha and was about to hit him. At that moment, Gu Chunsha gave a weird smile. Pulla, a sword light appeared behind the Skull Ash Demon Emperor's back. This sword light was formed by the 5 of them merging into one. It was as thin as a thread, and it attacked from thousands of miles away. One strike could kill everything in the world and control the order of heaven and earth. 5 seasons merging into one. God bloodline. God laws. Spring, summer, summer, autumn, winter, ancient laws. Spring rain, summer lightning, summer sun, autumn frost, winter snow. These were the 5 of them. Lu Yu and the other 4 cultivated bitterly and activated the bloodline of the gods of 5 seasons in their bodies. They also refined the 5 seasons' divine sword into their primordial spirits with the help of a life's wish sphere. Now they were at the 15th transformation of the Tao realm, the heavenly, eye-suspending sky. But with this level of cultivation, each of them could kill a golden core, great Tao expert. If the 5 of them merged into one, who knew how terrifying their killing strength would be? The 5 seasons God sword was a merger of the 5 seasons laws, and it wasn't metal. After merging it into the soul, one could use the soul to control the sword and slash through spiritual power. The 5 of them entered the demon region and found a chance to strike the Skull Ash Demon Emperor. The 5 merged sword lights pierced through the Skull Ash Demon Emperor's body. It gave out a shocking rage and screamed in pain like it was badly injured. A good chance. Gu Chensha waved his hands, and many starlight beams appeared behind him, sweeping above his head. So. The 72 divine General Maha puppets fell into the starlight. Let's go. Let's leave this place. Gu Chunsha laughed heartily. Skeleton Gray Demon Emperor, thank you for your help. You allowed me to subdue the Skeleton Ding Demon Emperor once again, along with his 72 puppets, Divine General Maha. While they were talking, Gu Chansha was wrapped in a nebula that was a few acres in size, and quickly left with Lu Yu and the other 4. He knew how powerful the Skull Ash Demon Emperor was. Even if he joined forces with Lu Yu and the others, it would still be difficult to kill it. Moreover, although he had temporarily suppressed the Skull Ash Demon Emperor in his body, he had not refined it yet. If he were to relax a little, the Skull Ash Demon Emperor would stir up trouble. Skeleton Demon Emperor's cultivation was at the 21st transformation of the Tao realm, and his body turned into the 5 elements. It was basically impossible for Gu Chansha to kill and refine him with his own cultivation. He wanted to return to the touch of Ghost God and borrow the power of this tree to slowly absorb the Skeleton Demon Emperor and his 72 God Generals Maha. Damn it! The Skull Ash Devil Emperor's injuries had yet to recover, so he didn't dare to give chase. He heard it from afar. Skeleton Ash Devil Emperor, our cooperation is still effective. You can come and join me. This was Gu Chinch's temptation again. After a short while, Gu Chansha had already rushed out of the demon area and arrived at the grassland of the bottomless sea of sin. He saw his touch of ghost god tree. Now the tree was getting bigger and bigger. It occupied a radius of close to 100 miles. With it as the center, the surrounding demonic herbs had all withered as their vitality had been absorbed by the tree. Zhuge incarnation was presiding over the cultivation in the tree. It was absolutely safe. It kept absorbing the essence of heaven and earth, the power of the stars, the spiritual energy, the celestial energy, and all kinds of energy from many dimensions. If nothing went wrong, the tree would be able to cover the entire 3,000 miles of the bottomless sea of sin in another year and a half. By then, the demon area would instead be the energy source of the tree. However, by then, the tyrannical experts in the demon area, including demon overlords, would also appear. It would probably be a more difficult battle. Gu Chensha landed on the tree. Lu Yu and the others retracted their light and saw Zhuge still presiding over the cultivation in the nest in the middle of the tree. "Mr. Help me." When Gu Chensha arrived in front of Zhuge's incarnation, he immediately sat down. His body emitted demonic energy, and the 72 Maha puppets were also ready to make a move. Absorb. Zhuge's incarnation was immediately activated. Suddenly, many tentacles of the touch of Ghost God appeared and wrapped the 72 Maha Divine Generals, constantly absorbing their essence, chi, and spirit. These 72 Maha Generals were extremely powerful, and they shouldn't have been so weak. However, they were suppressed by the Skull Ash Devil Emperor's Great Ascension treasure retrieving Devil Light, and their master was sealed by the ancient dust sand. Furthermore, Lu Yu and the other four had joined forces to suppress them, so they didn't cause much trouble. The 5 of you, inject your sword chi and destroy the 72 Maha Divine Generals. Kill them and let the touch of Ghost God absorb their nutrients. Zhuge's magic power incarnation immediately gave the order. Yes. Lu Yu and the others immediately released their sword chi and started killing. Bang! A Maha Divine General was killed. In an instant, the nutrients were absorbed, and the touch of Ghost God became even more powerful. Following that, Maha Divine Generals were killed one after another. As the nutrients were absorbed, the 28 demons and monsters in the crown of the tree began to evolve, forming the embryonic form of the 28 star monarchs. Massive energy descended, and the tree evolved once again. The vines turned into the color of stars. They were no longer made of wood, but something similar to star jade. The entire tree looked like it was dotted with stars, like the galaxy tree. Within this tree, it was like being in the depths of the Star River. One could sense the endless profundities of the vast universe. Even Gu Chensha, who was the creator of this tree, could feel the wonders of creation. This tree was simply exquisite and had boundless power. It was indeed worthy of being a supreme cultivation technique created by many ancient demon race sages after comprehending the primordial chaos tree. What did the real primordial chaos tree look like? Gu Chensha was very curious and wanted to see it with his own eyes. However, according to the ancient records, the primordial chaos tree was in the depths of space-time. Furthermore, it had already surpassed space-time. Not only was it in a different dimension from all living beings, but it was also in a different dimension in terms of time. Without great fortuitous encounters, it was impossible to find it. These 72 Maha Divine Generals contain the remains of immortals who died in the demon realm. Adding them together, they form the number of earthly fiends, and their strength is roughly between the 21st and 22nd transformation. Now that they've been absorbed by the touch of Ghost God, the tree's evolution time has been reduced by at least 60 years. As Zhuge's incarnation spoke, he formed seals with both hands. Immediately, many of the tentacles on the touch of Ghost God pierced into the various acupoints of Gu Chensha's body. Very good. Borrowing the power of the touch of Ghost God, Gu Chensha channeled the power of space-time in his body. The space in the depths of his dantian was like a huge millstone that began to spin and grind, trying to refine the skeleton demon emperor. Kid, it's still too early for you to refine me. However, I didn't expect that your body would contain space. Furthermore, your bloodline and nascent divinity are actually fused with the power of space-time. This is something that even gods can't do. The physical body and nascent divinity of ordinary people can't withstand the power of space-time. Forcefully fusing them would only result in death. Yet, you've actually managed to fuse them. Could it be that you've obtained the legendary heavenly talisman? No wonder our God sent a prophecy saying that the heavenly talisman has appeared. So it's in your hands. In the space-time the size of a room in Gu Chinch's Dantian, the skeleton demon emperor gathered his body once again in Gu Chinch's Dantian. He wasn't injured at all. He unleashed demonic flames in a frenzy to attack the space, trying to break out of the seal. With Gu Chinch's current cultivation, he could at most restrain the demon. It was impossible for him to refine it. However, if he continued to restrain it, the demon would wreak havoc in his Dantian's Dantian, making it impossible for him to circulate his stellar energy. It would also lower his strength and prevent him from breaking through to the next realm. The Dantian's Dantian and consciousness were the two most important parts of a person. If the Dantian was not smooth, the blood and spirit would be damaged, and the consciousness would not be able to be replenished. One had to know that the essence of a person's consciousness and nascent divinity were the replenishment of the physical body. Without a physical body, the nascent divinity would gradually wither. Therefore, Gu Chansha couldn't seal the demon in the depths of his Dantian for a long period of time. Otherwise, the demon would devour the connate stellar energy in his Dantian to strengthen itself and become a parasite. But things were different now. With the ghost god's touch and the power of Zhuge Ye's dermic incarnation, Gu Chansha was confident he could quickly refine the demon. The ghost god's touch had devoured countless monsters' souls. In addition to the 72 divine generals Maha, the 28 demons, monsters, and monsters had evolved to possess some of the characteristics of the 28 demon gods and star sovereigns. The power of the 28 puppets was many times stronger than before. Aside from that, the Lord of Seven Stars, Zhuge Ye, was the true king of stars. With him around, the 28 demon gods and star sovereigns could grow even faster. Your Highness, use the Book of Life mending the heavens and the Book of Life reforming. Use your nascent divinity and stellar energy to refine the demon's magic. I'll help you. With the demon's power, you'll definitely be able to increase your cultivation. You'll reach the peak of the 17 transformation, the Tao-splitting division, and even the golden core of the 18 transformation, said Zhuge Ye. I'll use my own will to refine the demon. Mr. Zhuge, you don't need to interfere. Fighting with the demon's will is also a pleasure. Gu Qinsha laughed. Even if it takes a bit more time, I can completely refine my own will. That's fine. Your Highness has such ambitions, and I'm happy to oblige. But time waits for no one. The second prince has already become the crown prince and returned to the court. The monsters are also building the nethermetal fortress and preparing to break through the seal and descend upon the land of infinity. Apart from that, the demon race, the barbarian race, and the immortal Tao sect are also planning something. The Great Might Dynasty is gathering overseas, and your Highness can't waste too much time here. Zhuge Ye's profound wisdom saw through everything. It is precisely because of such a harsh situation that my potential can be stimulated. If I didn't temper myself like this, how could I suppress this place? Gu Qinshan knew that the biggest role he could play was to suppress this place, kill the demons, and maintain the peace of the world. The reason for the world's instability was the demon region, followed by the demon race and the barbarian race. Then, the immortal Tao sect, the imperial court, and the Great Might Dynasty. There were countless demon experts in the demon region, and they were all extremely cruel. Once they descended upon the divine land, they would immediately kill and eat people, causing a bloodbath. Humans were even in danger of being wiped out. The barbarian race was the same, but the monsters were even more bloodthirsty than the barbarian race. The barbarian race was just a race created by the evil god to imitate the monsters. The demon race was more bloodthirsty, cruel, strong, and aggressive than the barbarian race. In history, many powerful dynasties collapsed because of the demon disaster. Even the ancient emperor couldn't do anything to the monsters. He had no choice but to use the emperor's energy to confer the strongest demons as the evil god and reach a compromise. Chapter 332. Heaven and earth change. Common people mend the heavens. The heavens are in the hands of man. Man can defeat the heavens. Clipchamp used the power of the touch of the ghost god to absorb the sealed skeleton demon emperor. His body was the main, and the treasure was the support. The touch of the ghost god tree was refined by him, and its growth was closely linked to him. One could say that it was a part of his body. Using this tree, he understood many theories and even comprehended some mysteries of the primordial chaos saint body. Now, he was one with the tree once more to refine the skeleton demon emperor. If he succeeded, his comprehension and spiritual will would rise to a whole new level. His sciention astral energy circulated within his body. One of them transformed into the heaven-mending astral energy, while the other transformed into the heaven-reforming astral energy. Under the control of his yuan spirit, the two astral energies bombarded the skeletal demon emperor in the air. The skeleton demon emperor gave out a weird laugh and started to swallow Clipchamp's soul and energy to strengthen himself. You actually dare to refine me. What a dumb thing. The skeleton demon emperor's will was really evil. You will never know the difference between spiritual power and spiritual energy. He changed continuously in Clipchamp's energy ocean space. He turned into a ball of flame, a ball of water, and then metal, wood, and earth. The five elements shook one another at an extremely quick speed. Not only was Clipchamp unable to refine him, but he was also able to steal a lot of his essence energy. Damn, he is really strong. The difference in one realm is actually so huge. Clipchamp had refined the skeleton demon emperor who was at the 20th transformation of Tao realm. The skeleton demon emperor had also cultivated spiritual power and was at the gather and scatter impermanence realm, but he was still able to refine him. Now that the skeleton demon emperor was at the 21st transformation and had turned into the five elements, there was nothing Clipchamp could do about it. The difference was just one realm. King, although it is just one transformation, in truth, there are 5 stages. This demon emperor has cultivated all 5 and is at the peak of the 21 transformations. He is much stronger than the experts who stepped into the 21 transformations, so we can't let our guard down. Zhuge is sent out a mental fluctuation. I know. The more you do it, the more challenging it will be, Clipchamp said excitedly. Mr. Zhuge, just watch me. As he spoke, Clipchamp once again activated the gourd hanging in the middle of the tree. In the depths of the gourd was the immortal slaying god slaying flying dagger. You want to fuse your nascent divinity with the greatest weapon of slaughter in the world, the immortal slaying, god-slaying, flying dagger. Zhuge immediately understood what he was going to do. Although this flying dagger was refined by you, if it fuses with the primordial spirit, it will cause irrecoverable damage to the primordial spirit. It's okay. There can be no construction without destruction. Clipchamp laughed out loud. I used this item once not long ago, and now it has been condensed again. At that time, it was condensed by the 7-colored demonic vine. Now it is the touch of the ghostly god. The power of this dagger is more than 10 times stronger. As he laughed, a flying dagger flew out of the gourd. This flying dagger had eyes and wings. It was like a living creature. The moment it rushed out of the gourd, Zhuge could feel the power that could kill all gods and immortals and slay the world. This is just a fake that grew from the heavenly demon tree, and it already has such power. If it is a real flying dagger, what will it look like? No wonder even the most ferocious person in the divine prefecture was dismembered by this flying dagger. Zhuge was shocked. The real immortal-slaying, god-slaying flying dagger was was condensed from the primordial chaos tree. At first, it was in the hands of the primordial golden crow, race's Yao Sage. However, even Yao Sage could not activate this dagger. Later, the golden crow race's Yao Sage was schemed against by the three heavenly venerables, and the gourd was stolen. The three heavenly venerables had only used it once against the most ferocious person in the divine prefecture, Xingqiangshi. They had dismembered him, but because of that, the three heavenly venerables had lost a lot of their vitality. In short, this was the most ferocious weapon. Whoosh! The flying dagger flew out of the gourd and circled 3 times above Gu Chench's head. Suddenly, it shot into his ancestral aperture and entered the depths of his sea of consciousness, fusing with his primordial spirit. At the instant the flying dagger fused with his primordial spirit, Gu Chansha felt as if he had lost himself in an endless killing intent. He was about to go crazy, to kill everything, to destroy everything. He was an existence born for the sake of killing. He wanted to kill everything, and all things would perish. However, he used his boundless willpower to protect the last bit of clarity in his primordial spirit consciousness. He fiercely attacked his primordial spirit into the depths of his Dantian Sea of Qi. And at this moment, the skeletal demon emperor, who was imprisoned in the depths of his Dantian Sea of Qi, felt the endless killing intent assaulting him. He was shocked and fiercely attacked. Bang! The skeletal demon emperor and Gu Chench's primordial spirit collided. With just a slight sound, the skeletal demon emperor's entire body was slashed apart. He could no longer condense as he let out miserable cries. Primordial spirit, physical body, primordial sacred body, refine the flying dagger. Gu Chench's willpower did not have any emotions at all. It was as if he himself was the immortal slaying god slaying flying dagger. His primordial spirit and astral energy fused, and with the force of the collision of the skeletal demon emperor, he began to refine it. Skeletal demon emperor, I have to thank you. If you did not resist the killing intent of this flying dagger, how could I use my primordial spirit to absorb this flying dagger? At the same time, you are also severely injured. You can die now. Gu Chench's entire body squirmed as his astral energy and primordial spirit interacted. Impressive. Zhuge nodded inwardly. Your Highness actually took the risk to fuse your primordial spirit with this flying dagger. It can be said that you're using someone else to do your dirty work. This time, the skeletal demon emperor will probably not be able to escape. Indeed, the skeletal demon emperor's entire body was in a mess. He had been injured extremely deeply by the flying dagger. Although he did not die, his dermic powers were beginning to scatter. He no longer had the strength to absorb Gu Chench's essence qi. As Gu Chench's body squirmed, he gained a deeper understanding of the primordial sacred body. He actually slowly refined the immortal slaying god slaying flying dagger. An extremely sharp willpower appeared in his primordial spirit. This flying dagger was just saber qi. After a long time, the gourd would condense another flying dagger. Gu Chensha could devour this saber qi again and again to temper his primordial spirit. There was no longer any suspense. After Gu Chensha refined the flying dagger, he slowly used his primordial spirit as a saber to whittle away the skeletal demon emperor's dermic powers. After a full 3 months, the skeletal demon emperor had already been mostly refined and was weak. Meanwhile, Gu Chench's primordial spirit was full and began to split into 3. The 3 primordial spirits were exactly the same as him. His accumulation could be said to be vigorous. First, he obtained the Grotto Heaven ritual and fused the power of time and space into his body. Then, he devoured the skeletal demon emperor. Now, he refined the skeletal demon emperor. Of these 2 demon emperors, one was an expert at 20 transformations, while the other was even stronger. It was an overlord of the 5 elements at 21 transformations. The dermic powers of these 2 great demon emperors were nourishing to Gu Chansha and the touch of the ghostly god tree. Gu Chansha channeled most of his dermic powers into the tree, allowing it to grow. Meanwhile, he absorbed the essence and gathered a huge amount of essence chi. Finally, he broke through to the 17th transformation. At this point, it was already the 20th year of the Heavenly Talisman. Gu Chansha had risen in the 14th year of the Heavenly Talisman. 6 years had passed since then. Skeletal Demon Emperor, you have nothing to struggle for now. Merge into the Heavenly Demon Tree for the last time. Gu Chinch's 3 primordial spirits moved and immediately formed the strongest strangulation force, killing the Skeletal Demon Emperor without any suspense. At the same time, he absorbed his memories. Immediately, many demonic cultivation methods flowed into his sea of consciousness. The 3 primordial spirits returned to the depths of his sea of consciousness. The innate Gang Qi in his sea of Qi was also extremely full. Gu Chinch's current cultivation had reached a terrifying level. In these 3 months, Your Highness has benefited a lot. Zhuge saw Gu Chinch's great success. Just 1 step away from the 18 transformations, Great Tao Golden Core. At that time, Your Highness's life form will change. Once the Golden Core is formed, your lifespan will increase by 1,000 years. With Your Highness's current talent, it will be a piece of cake for you to break through this stage. Mr. Zhuge's main body grows even faster. Gu Qinsha was satisfied. I was just opportunistic. If Your Highness's cultivation was opportunistic, there would be no cultivators in the world. Zhuge knew that Gu Qinsha had actually merged his primordial spirit with the immortal slaying god, slaying flying knife. This was an act of suicide. He actually succeeded. This training of willpower was no less than walking through many hells. Such cultivation was firm and not opportunistic. Instead, it was done with a heart of seeking the Tao without any regrets. It was natural for him to have his current achievements. Tao Realm, 17 transformations, the peak of Tao, splitting soul separating. This was Gu Chinch's current realm. With his combat strength, he could directly challenge the Skeletal Demon Emperor. As for the touch of God and Ghost, this tree had completely turned into a star tree. It seemed to contain all the stars in the sky within. In the past 3 months, Zhuge Ye's Dharma Power Incarnation and Lu Yu and the other 4 people had been cultivating nonstop, causing many mysteries to appear on the tree. Every leaf was a talisman that contained an extremely strong power. If an ordinary person were to obtain a single leaf of the tree, they would be able to unleash a tremendous power. The core of the tree, the embryonic form of the 28 constellations monster god Star Lord, had started to show its power. Day and night, it forcefully opened up the power of the stars, absorbed energy, and disintegrated it. However, Gu Qinsha didn't waste energy to create pills, armor, weapons, and treasures. Instead, he focused on evolving the tree. But now, the tree's evolution had slowed down. Even if it absorbed a large portion of the Skeletal Demon Emperor's power, it was useless. The blood-sucking demon vine evolved into the 7-colored demon vine. The 7-colored demon vine evolved into the touch of God and Ghost, and finally into the Heavenly Demon Tree. The last evolution was thousands of times harder and longer than the previous ones. Now, the Heavenly Demon Tree's strength was equivalent to a 20 transformations expert. However, it couldn't move. Of course, this tree was far from the common people's wishball. Gu Qinsha had also refined his Maha Black Sun into the tree, allowing the tree to receive a lot of nourishment. Right now, this tree is lacking demonic souls. Since that's the case, I'll capture demonic souls in the lower devil region. If I can capture the Skull Ash Devil Emperor, this tree's evolution time will be reduced by another few decades, said Gu Qinsha. Chapter 333. Go back to the court to deal with second brother, Gu Qinsha. Gu Qinsha didn't want to get caught up in the court's battle. To him, there was no point in fighting, and it was better to kill monsters here. One was to get rid of the hidden dangers of the world, and the other was to raise his own strength. As long as he was strong enough, he could stabilize the situation in the court. For example, Heaven Talisman Emperor had dominated the world for many years. Now that he was in secluded meditation, many saint-level experts didn't dare to act arrogantly. Gu Qinsha had tasted the sweetness. After guarding the demon region for so long, he actually rose from 14 to 17 and even cultivated a treasure like the Ghost God Touch. How would he still have the mood to work in the court? Gu Qinsha wanted to cultivate the golden core of the Great Path in one go, and he also wanted to cultivate the 20 transformations. At that time, his combat strength would probably be at its strongest. The benefit of cultivating the 18 transformations was that one could live for 1,000 years. This was something that all cultivators dreamed of. Normal experts would turn to dust in 100 years. In 1,000 years, one could experience the change of 3 dynasties. In history, most dynasties changed once every 300 years. But what Gu Qinsha lacked now wasn't lifespan, but combat strength. He had to improve further and reach the 20 transformations. He had to merge his body, energy, and soul into one and turn them into spiritual power. He had refined Ku Si and Ku Ding, so he was deeply aware of how mystical magic power was. If he could cultivate his magic power, he would be able to execute many techniques. For example, sun-moon annihilation, which could almost activate the supreme mysteries of heaven and earth, drawing in the tides of the sun and moon, and even killing the undying demon emperors. Unfortunately, Gu Qinsha was 3 levels away from the 20 transformations. These 3 realms were each more difficult than the last. For Gu Qinsha to advance to the golden core of the Great Path was even harder than going from 9 to 17 transformations. 18 transformations was a huge realm where one's energy and soul turned into a golden core. Many experts couldn't pass this. Their souls and energy failed to form a core, and they exploded to death. When a nascent divinity astral energy formed a core, it would release a huge amount of energy in an instant. That energy would go berserk, and it would be very difficult to control. If one couldn't control it, the nascent divinity would explode, and there would be no chance of survival. Fortunately, Gu Qinsha's own talent was already close to that of a born saint, and he was almost guaranteed to succeed in cultivating the Jindan of the Great Path. Your Highness still has to go. If you show your face, you might get another opportunity. At this moment, fighting in the demon domain won't bring you much benefit. That skeleton Ash is on guard. In addition, other demon experts will also appear there. Maybe they are planning to deal with Your Highness. Zhuge Ye analyzed. Your Highness's best option now is to go back and deal with the second prince. I have a plan to get a lot of opportunities from the second prince. Behind the second prince are the 3 celestial venerables. He wants to seize power from Wu Dangkong. And Wu Dangkong had the heaven sacrificial talisman with him. There are many things that we can use in this. That second brother of mine is very ambitious, and his cultivation is also very high. He is not inferior to the skeleton demon emperor, Gu Qinsha said. He will not be willing to be controlled by the 3 celestial venerables. He will definitely want to break free from their control. There are many things that we can use in this, and second brother might be thinking the same. Your Highness understood immediately. This touch of Ghost God is being guarded by my dermic power incarnation, and Lu Yu and the other 4 are assisting. It is absolutely safe. Your Highness, go ahead, Zhuge Ye said. I have one more thing to tell you, Your Highness. It is best to make a deal with the second prince and obtain a talisman from him. That talisman is called the Banishing Immortal Talisman. Legend has it that the 3 celestial venerables can demote immortals and banish them to the mortal world. Immortals were a very general concept. According to the ancient records in the primordial era, any cultivator who cultivated to the 18 transformations and Jindan of the Great Path could be called an immortal. Even now, when the disciples of the 72 mystical sects of the Immortal Path cultivated to the Jindan, they would hold a banquet and invite the experts of many sects to eat and drink to promote their talents. In the primordial era, the three celestial venerables were the existences that led the group of immortals. The banishing immortal talisman was rumored to be used by the three celestial venerables to punish immortals. As long as one talisman was used, the immortal would be crippled and become an ordinary person. For example, if Gu Chunsha encountered this talisman and was hit by it, his primordial spirit would immediately dissipate, and his gang chi would also dissipate between heaven and earth. At the same time, his cultivation level would also be reduced, and he would be like 6 years ago, when he had not received the heaven sacrificial decree. Legend had it that in the primordial era, the three celestial venerables commanded the immortal path. Sometimes, if the immortals below did not listen to their orders, they would be banished to the mortal world. This kind of humiliation was even more unbearable than being killed. Think about it. One had to go through a lot of hardships to cultivate to become an immortal. In the end, one would be beaten into an ordinary person. That was really more unbearable than death. I'm afraid second brother will not exchange something like the banishing immortal talisman with me. Gu Chunsha pondered for a moment. This talisman is probably his trump card. What I meant was that it would be best for Prince to obtain the profound meaning of this talisman. In fact, this talisman was comprehended by the three celestial venerables from the immortal slaying god flying saber. This time, the three celestial venerables secretly nurtured the second prince for the primordial tree's fruit. His Majesty plucked the fruit from the primordial tree, and whoever swallowed it would obtain the primordial sacred body. Zhuge said, in the primordial era, many human sages joined forces and suffered heavy injuries. Only by chance did they obtain an unripe fruit and refine it into many pills. The three celestial venerables' individual strength surpassed that of the sages, but the three of them schemed against each other and were not united. It was also impossible to obtain a truly ripe primordial tree's fruit. The fruit that father plucked was completely ripe? Gu Chunsha asked. Of course. The primordial tree is the creator of many worlds and the creator of many dimensions. Its will is far beyond that of any living creature. It is one of the most powerful existences in the primordial chaos, even more so than the will of heaven and earth. Zhuge said, of course, the will of the world is very mysterious. It is the manifestation of the general principles of the Great Path. We don't know what form it takes or what kind of existence it is. Perhaps only the Emperor knows. So you're saying that the three celestial venerables are no match for Father? Gu Chunsha calculated. Of course, if the three celestial venerables could do anything to His Majesty, they wouldn't be cowards. Zhuge Ye's eyes shone with wisdom. Don't worry, Your Majesty. As my cultivation base improves, I can understand many ancient secrets. I can even obtain the memories of the previous Lord of 7 Stars. The previous Lord of 7 Stars was called Jiang Gongwang. He had assisted Gu Tianzi in killing the Divine Continent's most vicious Xingqiang clan and had dealings with the three celestial venerables. Later, Jiang Gongwang perished. Supposedly, the three celestial venerables were involved. However, the first Lord of 7 Stars, Jiang Gongwang, had left behind a few tricks. As Zhuge Ye's cultivation base increased, he had also grasped a few secrets. 3 months ago, in Gu Chunsha's fief, he had reached the Tao realm 20 transformations. Gathering and dispersing were impermanent, and he had mastered magic power. Over the past 3 months, with the help of the Life's Will sphere, he had been able to circulate the 5 elements and break through to the 21st transformation. As his cultivation base grew more profound, he became omniscient and omniscient. With his help, the affairs of the calming immortal department became much more organized, and it gradually grew into a leviathan. If Mr. Zhuge can obtain the memories of the previous Lord of 7 Star, we might be able to expel the will of the North Star Empire, or at least refine it. That way, we'll be able to truly refine the common people's wish sphere. Gu Qinsha was filled with anticipation. More or less. Although the North Star is powerful, it's only a sliver of it left. It doesn't even have a soul fragment, and its strength is less than 1/10,000th of what it used to be, said Zhuge. Your Highness, you should go. Didn't you use Bao Ming'er to obtain 3 dragon creation pills from Gu Tanjian last time? I already understand what Sir Zhuge is trying to say. Fighting and killing in the demon realm is a form of cultivation, and fighting openly and covertly in the court is also a form of cultivation. The life-heaven mending art that I cultivate comes from the common people of the world, and the fate of the common people is mostly decided by the court. Therefore, the power struggles in the court are also greatly beneficial to the life-heaven mending art. Gu Qinsha stretched his body. There's a saying that has been passed down since ancient times. Cultivation in the government is the best. If you want to benefit the common people, it's best to do it in the court. A good political opinion can save millions of lives. Not to mention the Son of Heaven, who controls the universe, the whirlpool of fortune, and has a golden mouth. Zhuge said with wisdom that could see through everything. The situation in the court is already set. The Celestial Communist Bureau, the Celestial Designer Department, the Crown Prince, Concubine Ming, Wu Dangkong, Gu Tanjian, the Celestial Designer Department, and the officials who are truly loyal to the court, such as the 8 marquises and 3 dukes. Now that Princess Yuefu is condensing the life's wish sphere, she can't deal with the court, and the same goes for the 4th prince. The only one with status is prince, so it's time to train your political wisdom. I think this is also the emperor's arrangement. Conferring the title of concubine Wu Dangkong as concubine Ming will draw out the favor of the heavenly Tao. Conferring the title of crown prince on the 2nd prince will bind the 3 heavenly venerables to the court. Since the 3 heavenly venerables have spent a lot of effort to nurture the 2nd prince, it would be inconvenient for them to nurture other existences that can topple the court. Father's foresight is not something we can compare to. Gu Qinsha nodded his head and roughly guessed what Heaven Talisman Emperor was thinking. The two of them discussed for a while more. Zhuge spoke of many of his thoughts, including how to form alliances in the court. Gu Qinsha felt enlightened after hearing this. Gu Qinsha's body moved. Xiantian energy wrapped around him, and he was already far away. In just a few breaths, he was thousands of miles away. His current strength had exceeded that of when he had Dragon Sect. Back then, he was at Tao Realm 14 transformations and had Dragon Sect and Bujo Palace. There were 360 heaven mending generals in the depths. At that time, his combat strength was shocking, and he could casually kill 18 great Tao Golden Core experts. But now, he was even stronger. Although he didn't have Dragon Sect, Bujo Palace, or heaven mending generals, he had merged with the space-time power of the Grotto Heaven ritual. He refined the Skeleton Demon Emperor and the Skeleton Demon Emperor. He also merged the mysteries of the celestial, slaying God, slaying flying knife into his soul. He cultivated for 3 months and reached the peak of Tao Realm 17 transformations, Tao Splitting Spirit. Chapter 334. The 17th transformation of the Tao Realm, the Tao Splitting Soul Division, was the foundation transformation, and it was the preparation for breaking through to the 18th transformation of the Great Tao. The 3 nascent divinities accumulated a huge amount of essence, then refined their own stellar energy, fused them together, and formed a golden core. Generally speaking, the golden core was a combination of primordial spirit and stellar energy. In terms of combat prowess, the gold core could compress and condense innate energy, increasing its quality by several times, or even 10 times. For example, right now, Gu Qinsha's innate energy could only be stored in his sea of qi, in his acupoints, and in the depths of his meridians. However, after forming the gold core, he could compress his innate energy into many talismans and combine them together to form a gold core. The golden core was a body of energy. For those who had not formed their gold core, the quality and quantity of their innate energy were far inferior to those who had formed their gold core. Of course, cultivating a golden core was extremely dangerous. If one was not careful, they would explode, destroying both their body and soul. This was equivalent to ordinary people making explosives. Many people died without a trace. Moreover, the condensation of a golden core was millions of times more dangerous than explosives. Even with Glyph's current aptitude, it would be extremely troublesome for him to cultivate to the golden core realm. It was not something that could be formed instantly. Under the effect of his three nascent divinities, the innate energy in his body condensed into numerous runes, which then condensed in the Donjong acupoint on his chest. There were three most important parts of the human body. The first was the sea of consciousness in the brain, the second was the sea of qi in the dantian deep in the lower abdomen, and the third was the Donjong acupoint on the chest, also known as the middle dantian. It was a junction between the upper spirit and lower qi. To condense a golden core, the primordial spirit in the brain would descend, and the gang qi in the sea of qi would rise. They would intertwine in the sandalwood, growing and multiplying endlessly. Once a golden core was condensed here, one's entire body would undergo a fundamental change. Unknowingly, one would seize life from the heavens and obtain 1,000 years of lifespan. Then it was time for the Tao realm 19 changes, size manipulation. After forming a gold core, the fleshly body was relatively weak. That was why the 19 transformation used the gold core to temper the fleshly body to the limit. The limit was that it could be big or small. It could be as big as a 1,000 feet tall giant or as small as a speck of dust. At this moment, his physical body had reached its limit. The vigor of his essence blood was no longer something a human could do. At this moment, his physical body had reached its limit. His primordial spirit and Xiantian Gang Qi had also reached their limit. He had to reach the 20th transformation, gather and disperse, and combine the three elements into one to transform into magical power. The power of law. On the way back to the new capital city, Glyph pondered the problems of cultivation. He was very clear about his future path and changes. He had no doubts about what each change was and what it was for. If it was the other embellishments of the mysterious gate of immortal Tao, perhaps he wouldn't know the reason for the changes in each realm. However, he had received guidance from many giant-level experts, and he had even sacrificed many times to obtain the divination of the heavenly Tao. Any changes in the overall situation were clear at a glance. His cultivation was meticulous, and there was absolutely no doubt about it. In the depths of his sea of consciousness, the power of his nascent divinity descended, and in his sea of qi, the innate stellar energy rose, converging at the Donjong meridian on his chest, entangling with each other. Under the effect of the nascent divinity, the stellar energy condensed, compressed, and finally transformed into runes. It was a long process. As expected, forming the golden core requires huge amounts of earth energy and primordial spirit. I used up a lot of the stellar energy in my body to form one rune. Glyph calculated inwardly, based on my speed, if I don't rely on external forces and just absorb spirit qi to produce stellar energy to condense a golden core, I'm afraid I'll need several years to condense a perfect golden core. Of course, this is because the cultivation technique I've comprehended is too profound, so the quality of the golden core I condense is extremely high. The energy required is too huge and pure. Different cultivation techniques would cause the power of the golden core to differ as well. Cultivating top cultivation techniques would naturally increase the strength of the golden core. However, there were downsides too. The stronger the technique, the harder it was to form the golden core. The success rate was low, and the danger was high. For example, the Son of Heaven sealing technique formed a golden core that could suppress the gods and demons of the 9 skies and 10 lands. However, without the Heaven Talisman, it couldn't be formed. If outsiders tried to form it, they would definitely die. Huge amounts of essence energy exploded and turned to dust. Glyph's golden core was formed by the common people heaven repairing technique and the common people heaven reforming technique. The golden core had two sides that were perfectly merged. The common people heaven repairing technique and common people heaven reforming technique were formed from the son of heaven sealing technique and the great massacre god technique. Of course, they weren't as strong as the two techniques, but they were most suitable for Gu Qinsha and Liu Baiwei. They were the Daos that they comprehended themselves. The Daos that they comprehended themselves formed the golden core, and the risk was really small. In just a short while, Gu Qinsha arrived at the new capital city. After 2 to 3 days, the construction of the new capital city was close to completion. Giant palaces were erected, and there were even floating palaces that floated in the clouds. These were all created by the Celestial Designer Institute. This really was the Heaven Palace. No matter who came to the city and saw the giant floating palaces, as well as the white jade stairs that stretched from the ground to the sky, they would feel a desire to worship it. The palaces in the sky that were wrapped in clouds were a miracle. Although the imperial court didn't hold a ceremony, in truth, they had already started to move the capital. Now, all the matters of the imperial court weren't handled in the sky-bearing pass palace, but in the new capital city. The Comingxian division was also in the capital city. At the outskirts of the city were many nobles and aristocratic families that spent large amounts of money to buy land and build manors on it. One couldn't just say that every inch of land was worth gold anymore. Every inch of land was worth a sky-high price. Who would have thought that 5 to 6 years ago, this was a barren land filled with jungles and swamps? Poisonous bugs were everywhere, beasts were everywhere, and barbarian races were cruel. It was a really barbaric place. The power of the imperial court could flip the oceans and rivers. The planning of the capital city was very orderly. The wide streets were all paved with stone mud. They were as firm as steel, and there wasn't a single speck of dust on them. On both sides, there were wide rivers that flowed. On both sides of the rivers, there were jade-green, celestial peach trees. The peach blossoms were in full bloom, and the fragrance wafted about. The jade-green celestial peach was a variant of the purple-green celestial peach. Of course, its effect wasn't as good as the purple-green celestial peach, but it grew faster. Moreover, it could cultivate earth chi, improve the soil, and eliminate evil spirits. Gu Qinsha landed, but he didn't return to the Comingxian division. Instead, he went to a manor outside the capital city. This manor covered an area of dozens of acres. If it was in the original capital city, it would be considered a mansion. But in this barbarian land, the land was wide, so it wasn't very big. Fortunately, the servants around the manor were full of vigor and spirit. They had received good training and were smart and valiant. One could tell that the master of this manor was definitely a powerful figure. On the signboard in front of the gate of the manor were a few big words: Third River Count's Manor. The first time Gu Qinsha came here after coming from the bottomless sea of sin was to find Third River Count. This person married a woman from the Hung family. Generally speaking, people thought that he was a henchman of the first prince. However, a few years ago, the Heavenly Talisman Emperor punished the first prince and stripped him of his military power. However, he promoted him to a minister of the imperial court. Later, when the Great Calamity struck, Third River Count was in charge of the disaster relief. His contributions were outstanding, and his ability was outstanding. Now, he was a pillar of the imperial court. Gu Qinsha knew that this person was extremely powerful and unfathomable. Furthermore, he wasn't determined to follow the Hung family. He had his own ideals and a set of strategies for governing the country. Zhuge Ye had given him the idea to come and have a chat with this person. In Zhuge Ye's evaluation of Third River Count was second only to Jin Suebua. He wasn't any weaker than the 3 dukes and 8 marquises. It must be known that Jin Suebua had always been mysterious and unfathomable. Later on, he became the Lord of 5 Stars. In terms of talent, he was half an innate saint. Even in the 72 profound gates of the immortal Tao, it was difficult to find an existence that could compare to him. Jin Suebua, who was second only to the Lord of 5 Stars, was extremely terrifying. Gu Qinsha arrived at the gate of Third River Count's manor. He didn't bring any attendants. He was alone. All. At this time, the guards at the gate roared when they saw someone approaching. 7 or 8 armored warriors with war blades hanging from their waists surrounded them, waiting in formation. This is Third River Count's manor. Unauthorized personnel are not allowed to approach. Go and report that Monarch Shun has come to pay a visit to Third River Count. Gu Qinsha didn't directly barge in. Instead, he followed the usual protocol of visiting from the outside. Whoosh! A person had already appeared at the gate. It was Third River Count. He immediately waved his hand. "How dare you block His Highness's way? Kneel." He immediately bowed. "Welcome, Your Highness. I didn't know that Your Highness had arrived and was impolite. Please forgive me, Your Highness. This is a sudden visit. As a private meeting, I wish to chat with Third River Count. There's no need to be nervous, and there's no need for such formalities." Gu Qinsha waved his hand. "Your Highness, please come inside." Third River Count's eyes flashed as he hurriedly led the way. Logically, when officials and nobles visited each other, they would send someone to deliver an invitation first. It would be easier for the other party to make arrangements. Such a sudden visit was actually very rash. However, Gu Qinsha was a prince with a noble status. He was now one of the 3 heads of the Calming Immortal Department. No one in the court dared to look down on him. Some ministers even felt that he had the air of a king and could inherit the throne in the future. Among the many princes, he was the only one who had been in the limelight in recent years. The two came to the depths of the manor. Third River Count sent all the attendants away and brewed tea for Gu Qinsha alone. "I know that Your Highness has recently been suppressing demons at the broken seal of the bottomless sea of sin. You've refined an ancient heavenly demon tree and killed countless demons. If not for Your Highness, I'm afraid another devil disaster would have broken out in Sin Province. The court would have to expend a lot of effort to suppress it. The devil disaster is no small matter. I've had some effect suppressing it there. But with the expansion of the devil disaster, I'm afraid I won't be able to hold it for long." Gu Qinsha knew that Third River Count had a profound cultivation and must know something about him in the bottomless sea of sin. If the court and the rear are stable, I'll have some confidence in suppressing the devil disaster. But I'm afraid that the situation of the court is not stable. If there are internal and external troubles, it will be difficult to continue. There was a double meaning in his words. Third River Count didn't speak and remained silent. Gu Qinsha didn't intend to let him go. He continued to ask, "Third River Count, do you know that the first person I came to when I came back from the bottomless sea of sin was you?" "I don't know," Third River Count answered quickly. Chapter 335. The situation in the court has stabilized, and the Crown Prince has also been confirmed. Consort Ming controls the upper study and keeps the Crown Prince in check, but they also act as each other's horns. This prevents the court from being dominated by one family and having the power to balance each other. It is also able to pool ideas and develop in many ways. Prince doesn't have to worry. The rear is very stable. The Third River Earl expressed his opinion. "Oh, so this is how the Third River Earl understands." Gu Qinsha played with the teacup. "Then, does the Third River Earl think that Consort Ming and the Crown Prince are truly doing this for the court? It doesn't matter if they're sincere or not," the Third River Earl said. "Sitting in that position is not up to others. Even if you ascend to the throne, you have to work for the welfare of the people. Otherwise, your reputation will be ruined. This is order. No matter who you are, even if you are a monster, as long as you sit in that position, you have to change yourself because of the position." The Third River Earl's words are correct. Gu Qinsha nodded. "This is your opinion, and it is indeed unique. However, the current order and laws of the court are far from this level. The influence of the people in the world cannot be decisive. If one or a few people go against the law, it is enough to cause the world to return to a chaotic era. Prince's concerns are not without reason, But this matter is not something we officials can control. Since the emperor has appointed consort Ming and the crown prince, then the emperor must have his reasons, the third river earl said. Let's not talk about the crown prince and consort Ming. Gu Chunsha waved his hand. What does the third river earl think of Gu Tanjian? An ambitious person will definitely cause chaos in the world, the third river earl said decisively. What? Gu Chunsha was shocked. You are a member of the Hung family, and Gu Tanjian is the eldest prince's heir. You are both part of the Hung family. Aren't you afraid that someone will hear your comments? I'm just speaking the truth. The third river earl was very calm. Although my wife is a member of the Hung family, the matters of the court are the matters of the world. How can I lose the bigger picture because of a small matter? The emperor had always been very disappointed in the Hung family and hated the eldest prince for not living up to expectations. Concubine Ming and the second prince are both highly regarded by His Majesty, but Gu Xingjian has been left idle. From this, we can guess some clues. However, Gu Xingjian has actually recruited all the other princes and formed a huge faction. This shows that his ambition is clear, and he will definitely cause chaos in the world. No matter how incompetent Wu Dangkong and the second prince were, they were still conferred the title by the Heavenly Talisman Emperor. Gu Tanjian was different. He had always been in the wilderness, but his power was greater than any of the other factions. This made many people in the imperial court unhappy, because he didn't follow the rules and had no order. If those in the wilderness could control the people in the imperial court, then what was the point of the imperial court? With Earl Sand's words, I can feel much more at ease. Earl Sand is currently in the upper study room, in charge of managing the world's financial expenditures and some matters. I can cooperate more with the Celestial Tranquility Department. Gu Chunsha stood up. He didn't want to talk any further with Earl Sand. After talking for a while, he already had a rough idea of Count Three Rivers' philosophy and standpoint. Farewell, Your Highness. Earl Sand was also very direct. Gu Chunsha's figure flickered slightly and disappeared. After a few dozen breaths, a butler hurriedly walked in. Old master, Prince Heng's heir has sent someone to inquire about you. Good method, finding out so quickly. Earl Sand's expression turned extremely cold. It seems that there are still spies in my residence. Gu Chunsha left Earl Sand's residence and returned to the Celestial Tranquility Department. There were people in charge of the Celestial Tranquility Department now, mainly his foster son, Yiming, Yizheng, the green and white snakes, Yuhanlu, Long Yun, Long Zaifei, Lu Huayue, and the others. They were originally the backbone of the department, and after going through the common people's wish spheres cleansing, expanding their sea of consciousness, and improving their aptitude, their cultivations had increased by a lot. Especially Long Zaifei and Lu Huayue. They were peerless geniuses and could handle the situation of the Celestial Tranquility Department with ease. Their cultivations had also reached the 10 transformations of the Tao realm. The one with the highest realm was Yizheng. He was the Archbishop of Hell, Serpent God Temple, and his status was similar to Yuan Shashing's. He was captured by Grand Tutor Wenhong, and then given to Gu Chunsha and Lu Baiwei. His mind was controlled, and he became a slave. Now, Lu Baiwei and Zhuge Ye controlled the common people's wish sphere to cleanse his evil thoughts and convert him. He broke through and formed a great Tao golden core. He was an expert at the 17 transformation of the Tao realm, splitting soul division, and one of his souls had even taken over Chongyang Xiansek's peerless genius Li Yaoyang. King, you're back? When Gu Chunsha landed in the Celestial Tranquility Department, everyone sensed it and hurried over to greet him. How has the Celestial Tranquility Department been doing recently? Gu Chunsha asked Long Zaifei. He had high hopes for Long Zaifei. This kid had the bloodline of the Dragon God and Ocean God, and it was slowly being activated. He had completed many missions in the Celestial Path and was slowly making a name for himself. Reporting to Your Highness, the Calming Immortal Department has recently received the support of many second and third-rate Immortal Tao sections. There are even some disciples from the 72 mystic sects who have secretly contacted us. Our business has increased by 3 to 5 times. Long Zifei reported. Apart from that, the Crown Prince has sent people to buy things from our Celestial Tranquility Department. It seems like he wants to build a good relationship with us. Mr. Zhuge has already written a letter to the Crown Prince. Second Prince Gu Xiansha had been the Crown Prince for 2 months. At that time, Gu Qiansha had been refining the skeleton demon emperor in his body, so he didn't know much about what was happening in the imperial court. After talking for a while, Gu Qiansha already knew the situation in the imperial court like the back of his hand. He knew how the Celestial Tranquility Department operated and many things within the Celestial Path. Your Highness, His Highness the Crown Prince, has just sent someone to deliver an invitation. He invites you to his residence for a chat. It was Luo Xiao. Luo Xiao was the sect master of the Three Polarity sect. He had been persuaded by Jin Suebua to join the Celestial Tranquility Department and was now a capable general. However, he hadn't made the wrong move. Ever since he had joined the Celestial Tranquility Department, he had received enormous benefits. This was especially true in the past year. Zhuge had become the Lord of 7 stars, and Jin Suebua had become the Lord of 5 stars. They had given him a few things to help him break through his bottleneck. I'm still sitting here, and the second brother already knows. You're really well informed. Gu Qiansha accepted the invitation. I also want to meet this second brother, who hasn't appeared in the imperial court in over 10 years, and then immediately became the Crown Prince. He gave a few instructions, then set off for the Crown Prince's residence. The Crown Prince's residence was located in the Imperial Palace, in the center of the capital city. Up a flight of white jade steps, one could see the white clouds in the sky. The Crown Prince's residence was located in the east. The Imperial Palace was a magical treasure, not an ordinary structure. From this, it was possible to see how powerful the Grand Eternal Dynasty had been. At the same time, the Imperial Palace itself was incredibly powerful, even more so than the Buzhou Palace. Nominally, it had been built by the Celestial Designer Institution, but in truth, it had been left behind by Grand Emperor Heavenly Talisman. The defensive power of the Imperial Palace was in no way inferior to some of the secret locations of the 72 Immortal Dao sects. Gu Qiansha ascended the white jade steps and quickly arrived at the Crown Prince's residence on the east side. Numerous handmaidens paced back and forth within the palace, and flower beds forged from white jade were filled with flowers that never wilted. This was the Heavenly Palace. In front of the residence, the second prince, Gu Xiansha, the current Crown Prince, was already waiting at the door to greet Gu Qiansha. Greetings, Crown Prince. Gu Qiansha bowed. Etiquette was a must. Don't. Before he bowed, Gu Xiansha held him up and said, My brother is now in charge of the Tranquil Fairy Department and has been given a gold medal by my father. You don't need to bow to me. Besides, we don't need so much etiquette between us. Gu Xiansha smiled as if he hadn't seen his brother for many years and had missed him very much. Second brother is now the Crown Prince, above us. Etiquette is necessary. Gu Qiansha still insisted on saluting. You and I have something to talk about. Come in with me. Gu Qiansha led the way. The two entered the depths of the Crown Prince's residence, one after another. Gu Qiansha sent away all his attendants and guards, leaving the two in the secret chamber. Second brother is really amazing. If I guess right, in the bottomless sea of sin, I have to thank you and Wu Dangkong for driving the demons, which saved me a lot of time to condense the heavenly demon tree. Gu Qiansha's words had a double meaning. Of course, he knew that Gu Qiansha was plotting against him. 19th brother, you may have guessed wrong. I have never been to the bottomless sea of sin, nor have I cooperated with Wu Dangkong. Gu Qiansha lied without any shame. So I guessed wrong. Gu Qiansha also pretended not to know and no longer entangled in this topic. Second brother, why did you come to me this time? Do you want to share the house with our Tranquil Fairy Department? We are brothers. Let's not beat around the bush. Gu Qiansha said, 19th brother, what do you think about me being the Crown Prince? In terms of strength, cultivation, and ability, second brother is the most suitable. Father has a keen eye. 7th brother, 1st brother, 3rd brother, and 10th brother are still far behind second brother. If I guess right, second brother's current cultivation is probably at the 21st transformation of the Tao realm. Soon, he will reach the 22nd transformation of the phenomenon of heaven and earth, Gu Chunsha said. 19th brother, you're truly perceptive. I can see that you've reached the 17th transformation, the Tao-splitting divinity separation. You've cultivated 3 nascent divinities, and you'll soon reach the golden core of the great Tao. You've already surpassed 4th brother, and your talent is above mine. In fact, you should be the crown prince. Gu Xinsha did not exaggerate when he said that. He was extremely afraid of Gu Qinsha. With Gu Qinsha's current cultivation, he might not lose to him if he fought with him. There was a gap of 4 realms between them. If they were in the same realm, Gu Xinsha would not be a match for Gu Qinsha at all. Father chose second brother, so it must be the right choice. Gu Qinsha would not believe what his second brother said. In the future, no matter what second brother wants to do, as his younger brother, I will definitely fully support him. Chapter 336. Second brother, just tell me what you need to do. At the end of the day, the world and the court still belong to the Gu family. The Wu family can forget about getting a slice of the pie, Gu Chansha said deliberately. That's the truth, Gu Xinsha said. No matter who becomes the emperor in the future, the world will still belong to the Gu family. But if it's taken away by another family, the Gu family will be wiped out. Second brother, do you want to take back the regent's position? Gu Qinsha obviously knew what second brother was trying to say. In the past, when the emperor wasn't around, the crown prince would be the regent. But now there was a crown prince, and the imperial concubine was the regent. It was very awkward. It's easier said than done. Wu Donkong's cultivation is unfathomable, as she's backed by a powerful force. The Wu family and the Black Heaven Earth sect are involved, Gu Xinsha said. Gu Xinsha said, if 19th brother can lend me a hand, there's a way to make Wu Dankong resign from his position. I know what you're thinking, second brother, but you don't seem to know what Wu Dankong's greatest trump card is. Gu Chunsha began to tempt him. He wanted to get a lot of good stuff from second brother. What is it? Gu Xinsha asked. Gu Qinsha smiled, but didn't say anything. Oh, old 19, you're playing tricks with me. Tell me, what do you want from second brother? Gu Xinsha obviously understood. I know second brother has a treasure called the Banishing Immortal Talisman. As soon as Gu Qinsha said it, second brother's expression suddenly became extremely cold and murderous. Old 19, how did you know? Second brother stood up. Did second brother forget that the calming immortal agency has a lord of 7 stars? Gu Qinsha didn't care about second brother's attitude. Even if second brother attacked, he wouldn't be afraid. The current lord of 7 stars, Zhuge, has obtained all of the memories of the previous lord of 7 stars, Jiang Gongwang. What do you think, second brother? Amazing. Second brother calmed himself down. He was a peerless, ambitious, and ruthless character, and was well aware of how powerful the Lord of 7 Stars was. But, old 19, you really are a greedy lion. You even want my Banish Immortal Talisman? That's my trump card. The Banishing Immortal Talisman is powerful. However, the value of my request is countless times greater than the Banishing Immortal Talisman, Gu Qinsha said. How can I trust you? Second brother stared at Gu Qinsha. We'll have many opportunities to work together in the future. Moreover, I know that second brother doesn't want to be controlled by others. Even though the might of the Banish Immortal Talisman is great, the person who gave it to you is probably harboring evil intentions. Gu Qinsha had a glib tongue. His words were like a deluge of heavenly flowers, capturing people's hearts. After all, you and I are blood brothers. Second brother, do you trust outsiders, or do you trust your own brother? I believe you can make a choice. As expected, second brother's expression flickered. Second brother, you know how deep the resources of the Celestial Commerce Department are. We control the Dragonization Pagoda, the Buzhou Palace, and the Heavenly Demon Tome. We combine those 3 treasures into the populace's wish sphere, and with the Lord of 7 Stars presiding over it, we can definitely rival the supreme, profound, immortal Tao Gate. Gu Qinsha struck while the iron was hot. Mr. Zhuge, you've already divined that in your heart. Second brother, you absolutely won't let anyone control you. Old 19, you made some progress. You actually managed to convince me. Second brother's eyes were still incomparably gloomy, but his tone was much more relaxed. How about this? I can give you the Banishing Immortal Talisman, but in addition to telling me Wu Dongkong's secret, you also have to lend me the populace's wish sphere. Second brother, you want to borrow the power of the sphere to purify your cultivation base and circulate your magic power more exquisitely. By combining the 5 elements and transforming them, you can break through to the 22nd transformation, the lawful manifestations of heaven and earth. Thanks to Zhuge Ye's guidance, Gu Qinsha knew exactly what was going on with second brother. The Lord of 7 Stars really is terrifying. How come I don't have people like her among my subordinates? I can't believe someone like her joined the Celestial Calmness Bureau. Second brother's heart was filled with jealousy, but he didn't express it. Instead, he asked, Old 19, do you agree or not? Of course I do. We're blood brothers, replied Gu Qinsha. He didn't refuse. All of this was part of Zhuge Ye's plan. In that case, let's complete our transaction. After a moment of thought, second brother flipped his hand, producing a jade talisman. The talisman was the color of primal chaos and looked completely ordinary. Gu Qinsha recognized it to be the character for banishing. In ancient times, this was the Banishing Immortal Talisman, a talisman that struck fear into the hearts of many immortals. With one talisman, even the strongest immortal would be reduced to an ordinary person and would never be able to practice cultivation again. Gu Qinsha waved his hand, taking the talisman into his Dantian's sea of energy. The talisman was incredibly powerful, but it couldn't break through space. That was because spatial grotto heavens weren't the power of immortals. They were the power of gods. Once one reached the Tao realm 30 transformations, they would be able to open up their grotto heavens. That was the power of gods. The Banishing Immortal Talisman was only effective against immortals, but it was rumored that the 3 Celestials had an even stronger talisman called the God-Subduing Talisman, which was used against gods. Old 19, can you tell me the secret now? Second brother frowned. It's actually very simple. Wu Dongkong has already obtained the Heaven Sacrifice Talisman. This was also the reason why Imperial Father made her the regent. She was someone who was favored by the heavenly Tao. Right now, her strength had not been raised to its peak. If she raised it to a tyrannical realm, then she could reveal this secret. What do you think would happen? You, the crown prince, probably aren't a match for her. Gu Qinsha threw out a heavy blow. What? Second brother, Gu Qinsha sat down. No wonder, no wonder. I should have guessed this long ago. But this matter is too shocking and inconceivable. I didn't dare to think that I would really have such a thing. This matter is definitely true. Gu Qinsha said, Second brother just needs to pay attention to some details, and you will comprehend it. This news is indeed important. Second brother Gu Qinsha exhaled. Moreover, I can confirm that this matter is true. Second brother, what do you think? Maybe you can use this chance to break free from the person behind you. Of course, we can squeeze all the benefits out of the person behind you. Gu Qinsha's tone was really tempting. Second brother, actually, all of this is within Father's plans. Father made Wu Dongkong the regent to draw out the Heaven Sacrifice Talisman. He made you the crown prince to draw out the person behind you. Those people all have evil intentions. It's not good for the Gu family or the imperial court. 19th brother, your Department of Tranquility is still too weak. If you have another 100 years, everything will be fine. Gu Xuansha's eyes flashed. We have Father behind us. Gu Qinsha said, now that Father is in seclusion, many people think that something has happened. In fact, everything is under Father's control. Second brother, what do you think? If that's the case, I will form an alliance with the Department of Tranquility. We will advance and retreat together. Second brother Gu Qinsha seemed to have made up his mind. Of course, I know second brother will make the right choice. Gu Chunsha cupped his hands and said, Second brother, I still have something to do. I will leave now. I have said what I have to say. Farewell, 19th brother. Second brother looked at Gu Chunsha as he left. After Gu Chunsha left, he became serious again. You want to use me? How could it be so easy? However, I can use the tiger to swallow the wolf. They will fight each other, and I will reap the benefits. Wu Dankong, I want to obtain your heaven sacrifice decree. With this talisman, I can break free from the 3 celestial venerables. As for the Department of Tranquility, in the future, when I achieve great things, I can still use you. I want to subdue the Celestial Tao sect and make them pay me taxes. That celestial banishing talisman is not so easy to obtain. There must be hidden dangers of the 3 celestial venerables in it. Although it is powerful, I don't dare to use it. I don't want to be controlled by the 3 celestial venerables. I want to see what tricks the Department of Tranquility has up its sleeve. After leaving the Crown Prince's residence, Gu Chunsha went straight back to his fief. In his fief, everything within 100 miles was shrouded in starlight. To people outside, it looked like a huge whirlpool of stars. There was no way to enter it. Even if an expert came, he would be met with great resistance. He couldn't enter Gu Chunsha's residence at all. However, the whirlpool of stars that spanned hundreds of miles gradually began to shrink. Gu Chunsha knew that in the end, the whirlpool of stars enveloping his fief would completely disappear. Only the ordinary land would be left without any strange phenomena. That would be the completion of the sphere of the people's wish. It would escape into the space-time turbulence and hide completely. He stepped into the whirlpool of stars and arrived at the place where the sphere of the people's wish was condensed. The 4th vermilion bird, black tortoise, Zhuge Ye's real body, and Jin Suebo were still condensing. Mr. Zhuge, I followed your plan and obtained a celestial banishing talisman. However, this talisman contains endless mysteries. I can't comprehend it for now. Gu Chunsha took out the celestial banishing talisman. Your Highness, you really have a glib tongue. I thought it would take some time to convince the second prince. Zhuge Ye took the celestial banishing talisman and slowly stroked it, as if sensing the intent within. Gradually, a cold smile appeared on his face. As expected, the 3 celestial sovereigns set up extremely powerful restrictions. If I hadn't gradually received the memories of the previous Lord of 7 Stars hidden in the depths of the space-time turbulence, I wouldn't have known how sinister the 3 celestial sovereigns are. The previous Lord of 7 Stars, Jiang Gongwang's death, is inextricably linked to the 3 celestial sovereigns. What do you think will happen, sir? Lu Baiwei asked expectantly. With this talisman, I can unleash its power. With the help of the restrictions left behind by the 3 celestial sovereigns, I can completely subdue the wills of the North Star Emperor and Anthu and open the final layer of the heavenly Yao Tome. When that happens, I can obtain all of the previous Lord of 7 Stars memories, and even the treasures he left behind. I will preserve these memories in the sphere of the people's wish for your highness and the princess to meditate on. Zhuge Ye suddenly inserted the celestial banishing talisman into the sphere. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.